Sarah Mitchell didn't know her 45-year-old Korean Mafia husband was standing outside the bathroom door when she whispered into her phone at 2 in the morning, tears streaming down her brown face. "Becca, I can't do this. He's ancient. Like, literally my dad's age. Doesn't even smile. Barely looks at me. And these Korean aunties at the wedding? Girl, they looked at me like I'm some gold digger who trapped their precious appa." She wiped her nose with the back of her hand, her voice dropping to barely a whisper. "I guarantee you he can't even make me scream in bed. I'll die of boredom before anything actually happens in this marriage." The line went silent. Then she heard it. A low, dark chuckle from right outside the bathroom door that made every hair on her body stand straight up. The door slid open with a soft whisper, traditional Korean design meeting modern technology. Kang Min-sik stood there in expensive black silk pajamas, the top 3 buttons undone revealing a chest covered in traditional Korean dragon tattoos that wrapped around brutal scars. His salt and pepper hair was perfectly styled even at 2 in the morning. Those eyes that had been dead and emotionless all day suddenly burned with dangerous amusement. "Is that what you think, Mrs. Kong?" His English was perfect, the Korean accent barely there, but somehow making every word sound like a threat wrapped in velvet. He stepped into the bathroom, and Sarah's phone clattered to the marble floor. "Let's test that theory. Right now." Sarah pressed herself against the sink, her white handbag-style nightgown suddenly feeling too thin, too revealing. "I didn't mean." "You meant every word." He moved closer, 6 feet of controlled danger in silk pajamas. "You think I'm too old, too cold, incapable of making you feel anything." His hand shot out, gripping the edge of the sink on either side of her, caging her in. "When you scream my name in Korean before sunrise, you'll spend the rest of your life taking back every word you just said." Her heart hammered against her ribs. "Wait. Too late, Sarah." His voice dropped an octave, sending heat straight through her despite her fear. "You made a bet. And I always collect my debts. Always." He leaned in close enough that she could smell his cologne, expensive and masculine, mixing with something darker, more dangerous. The Korean word rolled off his tongue like a promise and a threat combined. Sarah's knees felt weak, but she forced herself to meet his eyes. "I don't understand Korean." "You will." His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "By morning, you'll know at least one phrase very, very well." He straightened up, walking toward the bedroom door. "Come. Now. Don't make me ask twice." Sarah stood frozen for 3 seconds before her legs carried her forward against her better judgment. This was her husband. The man who owned her for the next year, maybe forever. The man who had saved her brother's life and destroyed hers in the same breath 3 weeks ago in Los Angeles. 3 weeks ago, everything had been different. Sarah had been sitting in her family's struggling Korean barbecue restaurant in Koreatown, helping her mom during summer break before her exchange semester at Yonsei University in Seoul. The lunch rush had just ended when her younger brother Tyler burst through the door, his face bloody, his designer hoodie torn, panic written across every feature. "Sarah, I messed up." His voice cracked. "I messed up so bad." Their mother came running from the kitchen, switching rapidly between English and Korean the way she always did when stressed. "Tyler, what happened to your face?" Tyler collapsed into a chair, his whole body shaking. He explained in broken sentences, switching between English and the little Korean he knew. He'd borrowed money from some Korean guys he met at a club. $800,000. They said it was a sure thing, cryptocurrency investment, couldn't lose. He'd lost everything. All of it. And the money hadn't been theirs to lend. It belonged to someone else. Someone dangerous. "They're coming tonight," Tyler whispered, blood dripping from his split lip onto the table. "They said if I don't have the money by midnight, they'll kill me. And then they'll come for the family. For the restaurant. For everyone." Sarah's father had gone pale, sinking into a chair. The Korean curse came out quiet, defeated. He'd worked his whole life to bring them to America, to give them opportunities, and now this. That night, at exactly 8 p.m., a black Genesis G90 pulled up outside their restaurant. Sarah watched through the window as a man stepped out, and every instinct in her body screamed danger. He wore a Tom Ford suit that probably cost more than their monthly rent, his hair styled perfectly, his face expressionless. 3 bodyguards flanked him, but he waved them back to the car. Kang Min-sik walked into their modest restaurant like he owned it. Which, Sarah would later learn, he technically did. He owned the building, the block, half of Koreatown. He sat at a table, gestured for their best soju, and waited. Sarah's father bowed so low his forehead nearly touched his knees, the traditional Korean show of absolute respect and submission. Sorry, over and over. Min-sik waved him away with one hand, his eyes finding Sarah across the restaurant. You're the daughter. The smart one. Yonsei University exchange program starting next month, yes? Sarah's throat went dry. How do you know that? I know everything about families who owe me money. He poured soju into a small glass, but didn't drink it. Your brother's debt cannot be paid in cash. He stole from my shipments to gamble. In my world, that means death. For him, and usually for the family that raised him so poorly. Sarah's mother made a sound like a wounded animal. Tyler was crying silently in the corner. Min-sik's eyes never left Sarah's face. But I'm a businessman. I believe in equivalent exchange. Your brother took something from me. I'll take something from your family in return. Take me. The words came out before Sarah could stop them. I'll work for you. I'll pay it back however long it takes. His Korean was crisp, authoritative. I don't need workers. I need a wife. The world tilted sideways. Min-sik switched back to English, his explanation delivered like a business presentation. His parents in Busan were traditional, conservative, constantly pressuring him to remarry after his wife's death 8 years ago. His 13-year-old son was failing school, getting into fights, running with bad crowds, needed a mother figure. His business was expanding into American markets. He needed a Korean-American wife who could bridge both worlds, speak both languages, understand both cultures. You're perfect, he said, like he was completing a car purchase. Young, educated, Korean-American. You marry me, move to Seoul, help raise my son, appear at family functions and business events. In return, your brother lives. Your family's restaurant receives $100,000 immediately to cover debts and repairs. Your student loans disappear. Your Yonsei tuition is paid in full for your entire program. Sarah's mind raced. And if I refuse? Min-sik stood, adjusting his Rolex with casual precision. Tyler dies tonight. Painfully. Your parents lose this restaurant. Immigration investigates your father's visa status. I believe there were some irregularities 15 years ago, yes? You lose your scholarship, your university placement, everything. He placed a black business card on the table. The wedding is in 2 weeks. Seoul. Traditional ceremony. My assistant will contact you with travel arrangements. Don't be late, Sarah. I hate waiting. He walked out, got into his Genesis, and disappeared into the LA night. Sarah stood there, 20 years old, her entire life collapsing around her. Tyler was sobbing apologies. Her mother was praying in Korean. Her father looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. I'll do it, Sarah heard herself say. I'll marry him. Her mother grabbed her hands. No, baby, no. We'll find another way. But there was no other way. They all knew it. 2 weeks later, Sarah found herself on a first-class flight to Seoul, her entire life packed into 2 suitcases. Min-sik had sent his assistant, a severe woman named Kim Minji, to handle everything. Passport expediting, visa arrangements, a crash course in Korean wedding etiquette delivered in monotone during the 14-hour flight. If you're loving this story of Sarah and Min-sik, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling me if you think Sarah should run or stay, and smash that like button if you're already hooked. Seoul hit Sarah like a physical force. The humidity, the crowds, the signs in Hangul she could barely read, the constant assault of a language she only half understood. Minji drove her straight from Incheon Airport to a luxury hanok in Bukshin Village, where the wedding would take place in 6 hours. 6 hours to prepare for a marriage she didn't want to a man she'd met once for 15 minutes. Korean women descended on her the moment she arrived. Hairstylists, makeup artists, traditional dress coordinators, all speaking rapid Korean that Sarah's basic language skills couldn't keep up with. They stripped her, measured her, clucked their tongues at her curves in a way that made her feel simultaneously too much and not enough. The wedding hanbok was beautiful, she had to admit. Deep red jeoggery top with gold embroidery, billowing chima skirt that made her feel like a princess in a nightmare. They painted her face pale, lined her eyes in traditional style, wove her natural curls into an elaborate updo decorated with ornamental pins that probably cost more than her childhood home. When they finally let her look in the mirror, Sarah barely recognized herself. She looked like a Korean bride from a historical drama. Beautiful, traditional, and utterly terrified. Minji appeared at her shoulder. It's time. The guests are waiting. Remember what I told you on the plane. Bow low to the elders. Speak only when spoken to. Smile, but not too much. Don't embarrass Mr. Kong. The ceremony space was packed with at least 300 people. Sarah recognized none of them. Politicians, she guessed, from the expensive suits and the way everyone deferred to them. Business associates, their eyes cold and calculating. Korean high society, dripping in designer labels and judgment. Then she saw him. Min-sik stood at the front in a traditional Korean groom's hanbok, dark blue with gold embroidery that matched hers. He looked like a modern prince, dangerous and untouchable. When his eyes found hers across the room, his face showed absolutely nothing. No warmth, no interest, nothing. She was a business transaction being finalized. The ceremony was entirely in Korean. Sarah understood maybe half, nodding when Minji discreetly nudged her, bowing when others bowed, feeling like a puppet on strings. An elderly couple sat in the seats of honor. Min-sik's parents, she realized. His mother's eyes raked over Sarah with obvious displeasure. His father simply looked bored. When the officiant asked her the question she'd been dreading, his Korean was formal and old-fashioned. Do you take this man as your husband? Every eye in the room fixed on her. The silence stretched. Sarah's throat closed up. She could run. Right now. Just bolt out of this hammock and disappear into Seoul's crowded streets. But Tyler's bloody face flashed through her mind. Her parents' restaurant. Her mother's tears. Yes. The word came out barely a whisper. Min-sik's face remained expressionless. He slid a wedding ring onto her finger with the mechanical precision of someone signing a contract. When the officiant declared them married, Min-sik's lips brushed her cheek for maybe half a second. Not a kiss. A formality. Then came the paibeek, the traditional bowing ceremony to the parents. Sarah had to kneel before Min-sik's mother and father, offering them jujubes and chestnuts on a special tray, symbolizing future children. The thought made Sarah's stomach turn. Min-sik's mother accepted the offering with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She said something in rapid Korean that made several nearby relatives laugh. Sarah didn't catch it all, but she heard and... American woman. Young. The disdain was clear in any language. The reception was held at a modern rooftop venue in Gangnam, all glass and steel with Seoul's skyline glittering below. A DJ played a strange mix of K-pop and traditional Korean instruments. Sarah sat at the head table, a plate of food she couldn't eat in front of her, watching her new husband work the room. Min-sik moved through the crowd like a king among subjects. Men bowed to him. Women giggled and blushed when he spoke to them. He commanded every room he entered without saying much at all. Sarah noticed how everyone's eyes followed him, a mix of respect and fear. A teenage boy sat at a separate table, earbuds in, phone out, ignoring everything. He wore an expensive designer outfit, but looked like he'd rather be literally anywhere else. Min-sik's son, Sarah realized. Jihoon, 13 years old and radiating hostility from across the room. Beautiful dress. The voice came from behind her, female, speaking English with a perfect American accent. Sarah turned to find an elegant Korean woman, maybe late 30s, in a stunning black dress that definitely wasn't appropriate for a wedding. Enjoy it while it lasts. Excuse me. The woman's smile was all teeth, no warmth. I'm Park So-hee, Min-sik's old friend. Very old friend. We were supposed to marry before his parents forced this arrangement. She gestured at Sarah with her champagne glass. No offense, but you're not exactly what anyone expected. What does that mean? It means you're young enough to be his daughter. And American. And, well. So-hee's eyes traveled up and down Sarah's body. Not exactly traditional Korean wife material, are you? Before Sarah could respond, So-hee walked away, her heels clicking on the marble floor. Min-sik appeared at Sarah's side moments later. Smile. The photographers are watching. I don't feel like smiling. His hand found her waist, pulling her close for the cameras. To anyone watching, they looked like a happy couple. Up close, his grip was just slightly too tight. I didn't ask how you feel. I told you what to do. There's a difference. Is that how this marriage is going to work? You give orders and I follow. Yes. His honesty was brutal. That's exactly how this works. You agreed to this arrangement. I expect you to fulfill your obligations. I agreed to save my family, not to be your puppet. Something flickered in his eyes, too fast to read. In Korean culture, a new bride shows respect to her husband, especially in public. Good thing I'm American then. His jaw tightened. You're Mrs. Kang now. That makes you Korean whether you like it or not. He released her waist, stepping back. The reception ends in an hour. My driver will take us home. Be ready. He walked away before she could respond, already being pulled into conversation with a group of men in expensive suits. Sarah sat back down, alone at the head table of her own wedding reception, surrounded by 300 strangers in a country where she barely spoke the language, married to a man who looked at her like she was a problem to be managed. An older woman approached, moving slowly with the help of a cane. She had kind eyes, rare in this crowd. She spoke in accented English. You look lost, child. I am lost. The woman patted her hand. I'm Mrs. Song. I was Min-sik's mother's friend before they had their falling out. That woman has never approved of anyone her son chose. She glanced toward where Min-sik's mother sat, surrounded by equally severe-looking women. She wanted him to marry Park So-hee. Traditional family, old money, proper Korean connections. But Min-sik refused. Why? Because he doesn't love her. He doesn't love anyone. Mrs. Song's expression turned sad. His wife, Yuna, she died 8 years ago. Car accident. Min-sik was driving. He survived. She didn't. He's been dead inside ever since. Sarah's chest tightened unexpectedly. That's horrible. It is. And now you're married to a ghost of a man. Mrs. Song squeezed her hand. But I see something in you. Fire. Spirit. Maybe that's what he needs. Or maybe it will get you hurt. Time will tell. The reception finally ended near midnight. Sarah's feet ached from the traditional shoes. Her head pounded from the elaborate hairstyle and the weight of the day. Min-sik's driver, a silent man in his 50s, drove them through Seoul's neon-lit streets to Gangnam. The penthouse was on the 68th floor of a luxury tower. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed Seoul sprawling endlessly below, millions of lights blinking like stars. Inside, everything was minimalist, modern, expensive. Black leather, white marble, gray walls. Korean art that probably cost more than Sarah's education. It was stunning and soulless. An older woman in a simple hanbok waited in the living room. Welcome home, Mr. Kong. This must be your new wife. Her English was heavily accented but clear. Sarah, this is Mrs. Cho. She manages the household. Min-sik was already loosening his hanbok collar, looking exhausted. She'll show you to the bedroom. Mrs. Cho led Sarah down a hallway to massive double doors. The master bedroom was enormous, dominated by a bed that could sleep 5 people. One wall was entirely windows overlooking Seoul. Traditional Korean elements mixed with modern design, beautiful and cold. Mr. Kong said you should wear this tonight. Mrs. Cho indicated a white hanbok-style nightgown laid out on the bed. Traditional wedding night attire. Sarah's stomach dropped. After Mrs. Cho left, Sarah changed with shaking hands. The nightgown was thin silk, more revealing than it first appeared. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw a stranger. A Korean bride preparing for her wedding night with a man she'd met once. She grabbed her phone, needing to hear a familiar voice. Becca answered on the first ring back in LA. And Sarah told her everything, whispering her fears and frustrations in the bathroom while her new husband moved around somewhere in the vast penthouse. That's when she said the words that would change everything. He can't even make me scream in bed. And that's when she heard the chuckle from outside the door. Now, standing in the bedroom as Min-sik closed the door behind them with a soft click, Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs. He moved toward her slowly, a predator stalking prey. Keep watching because what happens next between Sarah and Min-sik will absolutely shock you, and if you think you know where this is going, trust me, you don't. Min-sik stopped 3 feet away from her, close enough that Sarah could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, far enough that she could still breathe. He studied her face for a long moment, and Sarah forced herself not to look away, not to show the fear coursing through her veins. "You're terrified," he said finally, his voice softer than she expected. "Good. You should be. I'm not afraid of you. Liar." He moved closer, and Sarah's back hit the window, cool glass against her bare shoulders. "Your pulse is racing. I can see it here." His finger traced the air near her throat, not touching, just hovering. "You're breathing too fast. And your hands are shaking." Sarah clenched her fists. "That doesn't mean I'm afraid." "No?" His lips curved slightly. "Then what does it mean?" She couldn't answer that. Didn't want to examine what else besides fear might be making her heart race as this dangerous man caged her against the window. Minseek's hand came up, and Sarah flinched. But he didn't touch her. Instead, he pressed his palm against the glass beside her head, his body angling closer. "I'm going to tell you something, Sarah. And you're going to listen carefully. I don't take orders from you." "Yes, you do." That was the deal. "But this isn't an order. It's a fact." His eyes bored into hers. "I don't force women. Ever. Not in business, not in bed, not anywhere. My world is built on violence and control, but that's one line I won't cross." Sarah's breath caught. "Then what is this? What are you doing?" "Proving a point." His voice dropped lower. "You said I couldn't make you scream. That I'm too old, too cold, incapable of making you feel anything. I'm simply demonstrating that you're wrong. You can't demonstrate anything without my consent." Something flashed across his face. "Surprise, maybe. Respect. You're right. So I'm asking, do I have your consent to prove you wrong, Sarah?" The question hung in the air between them. Sarah's mind raced. She could say no. He'd just said he wouldn't force her. But something in his eyes, something in the way he'd positioned himself, giving her space to refuse while still making her feel surrounded, made her pulse spike for reasons that had nothing to do with fear. "Why do you care what I think?" she whispered. "I don't." The lie was obvious in his tone. "But I care about my reputation. And I won't have my wife telling her friends I'm inadequate when I haven't even tried. This is about your ego? Everything is about ego in my world." He shifted slightly, and Sarah caught the scent of his cologne again, mixing with something distinctly male. "So, do I have your consent, or should I go back to the guest room and let you call your friend back to tell her you were absolutely right about me?" Sarah should say no. Every logical part of her brain screamed to refuse, to maintain distance, to not blur the lines of this business arrangement. But another part, the part that had been wound tight all day, that had felt powerless and trapped and owned, wanted to take back some control, even if it meant stepping into danger. "Yes," she heard herself say. "Prove me wrong." Minseek's eyes darkened. Then, he stepped back, putting space between them. "Take off the nightgown." "What?" "No. I thought you said." "I said I wouldn't force you. I never said I'd do all the work." He moved to the bed, sat on the edge, watching her with those unreadable eyes. "You want me to prove I can make you scream? You have to let me see you. All of you. Your choice, Sarah. Take it off or I leave." Her hands trembled as they went to the ties of the nightgown. This was insane. She barely knew this man. But something in his gaze, the way he waited patiently, giving her time to refuse, made her fingers work the knots. The silk whispered down her body and pulled at her feet. Sarah stood there in only her underwear, feeling more exposed than she'd ever felt in her life. Minseek's eyes traveled over her slowly, and for the first time all day, his mask cracked. "Heat. Pure, undisguised heat." He murmured in Korean. "Beautiful. Come here." Sarah's feet carried her forward before her brain could object. When she stood between his knees, Minseek's hands came to rest on her hips, his touch surprisingly gentle. Warm palms against her cool skin. "Last chance to say no," he said, looking up at her. "After this, there's no going back. We'll have crossed a line we can't uncross. We crossed that line when you forced me to marry you." "Wrong. I forced you to a wedding. This, you're choosing." His thumbs traced small circles on her hip bones. "So choose. Stay or walk away." Sarah looked down at him, this dangerous, complicated man who'd bought her like property but was giving her a choice now. Who'd threatened her family but made sure her brother lived. Who looked at her like she was something precious and terrifying at the same time. She placed her hands on his shoulders. "I'm staying. What happened next erased every assumption Sarah had made about Kang Min-sik being cold or incapable of passion. His hands were everywhere, reverent but possessive, mapping every curve of her body like he was memorizing her. His mouth followed, trailing heat across her skin, finding places that made her gasp. When he finally laid her back on the bed, hovering over her, his expression had transformed completely. The Ice King had melted, and underneath was a man who looked at her like he was drowning and she was air. "Tell me if it's too much," he said, his voice rough. "Tell me if I hurt you." "You won't hurt me." "I might. I haven't done this in 8 years." The confession slipped out before he could stop it. "Not since Yuna." Sarah's heart cracked open. 8 years of loneliness. 8 years of self-imposed isolation. She reached up, touching his face, feeling the stubble on his jaw. "Then we'll figure it out together." Something in his eyes shifted, softened. And when he kissed her, it wasn't the cold brush of lips from the wedding. It was desperate and deep, like he was trying to remember what it felt like to be human. Sarah lost track of time. Lost herself in the sensation of his hands, his mouth, the weight of his body. He was patient, attentive, constantly checking her reactions, adjusting based on every gasp and sigh. When pain came, brief and sharp, he stilled immediately, murmuring apologies in Korean against her neck until she pulled him closer, telling him to keep going. And when pleasure built, wave after wave, Sarah heard herself making sounds she didn't recognize. Her hands clutched at his shoulders, his back, anywhere she could reach. "Say my name," he demanded, his voice strained. "In Korean." "Say it." The Korean familiar form came out without thought. Again. Louder this time, as pleasure crested. Once more. "Scream it." And she did. His name tore from her throat in Korean, over and over, as her body shattered in ways she'd never imagined possible. Min-sik followed moments later, his own control breaking, her name a prayer on his lips. Afterward, they lay tangled together, both breathing hard. Seoul's lights painted patterns across their skin through the windows. Min-sik's fingers traced lazy patterns on her shoulder, and Sarah realized he was shaking slightly. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I don't know." His honesty surprised her. "I haven't felt anything in so long. This is terrifying." Sarah turned to look at him. In the dim light, he looked younger, vulnerable. "Does that mean you regret it?" "No." He pulled her closer. "It means I'm in trouble. I wasn't supposed to want you. This was supposed to be business. And now? Now everything is complicated." He kissed her forehead, a gesture so tender it made Sarah's chest ache. "Sleep. We'll deal with complications tomorrow." But sleep didn't come easily. Sarah lay awake long after Min-sik's breathing evened out, her mind spinning. She'd just slept with a man who'd forced her into marriage. Who controlled her life? Who could destroy her family with a phone call? And instead of feeling violated or used, she felt safe. Protected. Wanted. What did that make her? Morning came too bright and too early. Sarah woke to find herself alone in the massive bed, the sheets cool where Min-sik had been. For a moment, she wondered if she'd imagined the entire night. Then she felt the pleasant ache in her body, saw her discarded nightgown on the floor, and knew it had been very real. She found a silk robe in the closet and wrapped herself in it, padding out into the penthouse. Voices drifted from the kitchen, Korean mixed with English. Sarah followed the sound and stopped in the doorway, taking in the scene. Min-sik stood at the stove, wearing black slacks and a white dress shirt, already dressed for work. He was making eggs, speaking rapid Korean to someone Sarah couldn't see. Then a teenage boy appeared, grabbing a piece of toast. Jihoon, Min-sik's son. The boy's eyes landed on Sarah and narrowed with immediate hostility. He said something in Korean, harsh and fast. Min-sik's response was sharp, authoritative. Jihoon rolled his eyes, grabbed his school bag, and stormed past Sarah without a word. If you're wondering how Sarah is going to survive in this family, keep watching because it's about to get so much worse before it gets better. Comment below whether you think Jihoon will ever accept her, and don't forget to like this video if you're invested in this complicated love story. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the expensive artwork on the walls. Min-sik didn't even flinch, just continued plating eggs like his son hadn't just stormed out radiating pure hatred. "Coffee?" he asked Sarah in English, his voice neutral. "What did he say?" Sarah moved into the kitchen cautiously. Jihyun, what did he say about me? Minsik poured coffee into 2 mugs, his movements precise. Nothing important. Minsik. He sighed, setting down the coffee pot. He said you look like an American whore who trapped his father for money. I told him to show respect or lose his phone for a month. He handed her a mug. He chose the phone. Mrs. Cho will collect it when he gets home from school. Sarah's stomach twisted. He hates me. He hates everyone. It's not personal. Minsik pulled out a chair at the kitchen island, gesturing for her to sit. Eat. You need food. I'm not hungry. You didn't eat at the wedding. You need to eat now. He pushed a plate toward her. Don't make me feed you myself. Despite everything, Sarah felt her lips twitch. Is that a threat? It's a promise. But his eyes held a hint of warmth that hadn't been there yesterday. Eat, Sarah. She took a bite of eggs to appease him. They were perfect, seasoned just right. You cook. Mrs. Cho has Sundays off. Someone has to feed Jihyun. He leaned against the counter, watching her eat. We need to discuss the arrangements. And just like that, the warmth evaporated. Business Minsik was back. What arrangements? Your role here. Your responsibilities. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. You'll meet with a Korean tutor 3 times a week. Your language skills are inadequate for family functions. You'll also meet with a cultural consultant to learn proper etiquette. Excuse me, my mother is hosting a family dinner next weekend. You embarrassed yourself at the wedding, speaking English too loudly, not bowing properly to the elders. That won't happen again. Sarah set down her fork carefully. I embarrassed myself? I was thrown into a wedding in a language I barely speak with 0 preparation. Which is why you're getting tutors. He looked up from his phone. You'll also spend time with Jihyun after school. Help with his homework, take him to his activities, try to build a relationship. He just called me a whore. He's 13 and angry at the world. Give him time. How much time? Because right now he looks at me like I killed his mother. Minsik's jaw tightened. His mother died in a car I was driving. He looks at everyone like that, including me. Especially me. The pain in his voice made Sarah's anger deflate. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. And you're right to be angry. He set down his phone. This situation isn't fair to you. But it's the situation we're in. I need you to try with Jihyun. That was part of our deal. The deal was I marry you and play wife at events. Nobody said anything about being a mother to a kid who despises me. He needs a mother figure. He needs therapy. And so do you. Minsik's eyes flashed dangerously. Watch your tone. Or what? You'll send me back to LA? Please. I'd love to go home. You're home. This is your home now. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. Sarah stood up, the chair scraping loudly against the marble floor. This isn't a home. It's a prison with a better view. She stormed back to the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. Childish, maybe, but it felt good. She heard Minsik's footsteps in the hallway, then stop outside the door. For a long moment, nothing. Then his footsteps retreated. Sarah collapsed on the bed, the same bed where hours ago she'd been screaming his name, and now she wanted to scream for entirely different reasons. What had she expected? That one night of passion would change everything? That the cold businessman would transform into a loving husband overnight? Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number in Korean, followed by an English translation. Mrs. Kang, this is Minji. Your Korean tutor, Professor Lee, will arrive at 2 p.m. Please be ready. Mr. Kang has also arranged for a driver to take you shopping for appropriate clothing. The car will arrive at 10 a.m. Appropriate clothing. Like everything she'd brought from LA wasn't good enough. Sarah wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, she texted back, understood. At exactly 10 a.m., Mrs. Cho knocked on the bedroom door. Mrs. Kang? The driver is waiting. Sarah had showered and dressed in jeans and a nice blouse, the most Korean-appropriate outfit she owned. Mrs. Cho's expression when she saw her made it clear it wasn't appropriate enough. Mr. Kang left these for you. Mrs. Cho held out a black credit card and a folded note. Sarah took both. The note was in Minsik's precise handwriting, by whatever Minji recommends. Don't argue with her. She knows what's expected. The driver took Sarah to a luxury department store in Gangnam where Minji waited with a stern expression and a measuring tape. For the next 3 hours, Sarah was subjected to the most humiliating shopping experience of her life. Minji picked out conservative dresses, tailored suits, modest blouses, everything designed to make Sarah look like a proper Korean wife. "This is too low-cut," Minji said, vetoing a dress Sarah actually liked. Mr. Kang's mother would disapprove. "I don't care what his mother thinks." Minji's expression didn't change. "You should. Mrs. Kang Sr. is very influential in Seoul society. Her disapproval could make your life very difficult." "More difficult than it already is?" "Much more." Minji selected 3 more conservative dresses. "Try these." By the time they finished, Sarah had an entirely new wardrobe that felt like a costume. Elegant, expensive, and completely unlike anything she'd ever wear by choice. The bill came to over 30 million won. Sarah's hands shook as she handed over Minsik's credit card. Back at the penthouse, Professor Lee was waiting. He was a thin man in his 60s with kind eyes and infinite patience. For 2 hours, he drilled Sarah on Korean grammar, pronunciation, and essential phrases for social situations. "When you greet Mr. Kang's mother, you must bow at exactly this angle." He demonstrated. "Not too deep, that would be inappropriate from a daughter-in-law, but deep enough to show respect. Try it." Sarah bowed. Professor Lee corrected her posture 3 times. "And when serving tea, always use both hands. One hand is considered rude in formal situations. Like this." He showed her the proper way to hold a teacup. Sarah's head spun with rules and customs and ways to offend people she didn't even know yet. When Professor Lee finally left at 5 p.m., she collapsed on the couch, exhausted. Ji-hun came home from school at 5:30, saw Sarah on the couch, and immediately turned to go to his room. "Ji-hun, wait." Sarah stood up. "Can we talk? I have nothing to say to you." His English was perfect, his American international school education obvious. "Well, I have something to say to you." Sarah followed him down the hallway. "I know you don't want me here. I don't particularly want to be here either. But we're stuck with each other, so we might as well try to make it work." Ji-hun spun around, his eyes blazing. "Make it work? You're not my mother. You'll never be my mother. You're just some American girl my father bought because his parents pressured him to remarry. You're right. I'm not your mother. And I'm not trying to replace her." Sarah kept her voice calm. "But I am married to your father, and I'm living in this house, so we need to find a way to coexist. Why should I make anything easy for you? Because making it hard doesn't hurt me. It hurts your father. And I think you've hurt him enough, don't you?" The words came out harsher than Sarah intended. Ji-hun's face went pale, then red. "You don't know anything about my father. About what he did. I know he was driving the car when your mother died. I know he's lived with that guilt for 8 years. I know he has nightmares every night." Sarah took a step closer. "And I know he loves you, even when you act like you hate him." "I do hate him." But Ji-hun's voice cracked. "He killed her. She was taking me to school, and he was supposed to drive, but he had a meeting and she used his car, and she died and he lived, and it's not fair." Tears streamed down the boy's face. Sarah's heart broke. Without thinking, she reached out, and Ji-hun collapsed against her, sobbing. 13 years old and carrying 8 years of grief and anger with nowhere to put it. Sarah held him, this broken kid who'd lost his mother too young, and let him cry. She didn't say it would be okay. She didn't make empty promises. She just held him while he broke apart. When the tears finally slowed, Ji-hun pulled away, wiping his face roughly. "Don't tell my father I cried." "I won't. And don't think this means we're friends. I wouldn't dream of it." Ji-hun almost smiled. Almost. Then he disappeared into his room, leaving Sarah standing in the hallway, emotionally wrung out. Minsik came home at 8 p.m., loosening his tie as he walked through the door. He looked exhausted, shadows under his eyes. His eyes found Sarah immediately. "How was your day?" he asked, his tone carefully neutral. "Educational." Sarah stood from the couch. "I now know 17 ways to accidentally offend your mother, the proper angle for bowing to elders, and how much your credit card can handle in one shopping trip." A hint of a smile. "Minji said you argued with her about the dresses." "Minji has no sense of style. Minji has a sense of what's appropriate for a woman in your position." He moved to the kitchen, poured himself whiskey. "Did you see Ji-hun?" "Yes. We talked." "How did that go?" Sarah remembered the boy crying in her arms, the way he'd broken down. "It went. We're not friends yet, But we're not enemies either. It's a start. Minsik studied her over his glass. Thank you. For trying. Don't thank me yet. He still thinks I'm an American whore, remember. He's young. He'll learn. Minsik drained his glass, set it down. Are you still angry with me? Furiously. Good. You're beautiful when you're angry. He moved closer, backing her against the counter just like last night. Should I apologize for this morning? You should. But you won't. No, I won't. His hand came up, tucking a curl behind her ear. I need you to understand something, Sarah. In public, you're my wife. You represent me, my family, my business. I need you to play the role perfectly. And in private? His eyes darkened. In private, you can be yourself. You can fight with me, argue, tell me exactly what you think. I'll probably enjoy it. Keep watching and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single twist. Sarah's breath hitched as Minsik's thumb traced her jawline. This is insane. Yesterday, you were all business. Today you're. I told you last night changed things. His voice dropped lower. I wasn't supposed to want you. But I do. Desperately. You don't even know me. Then let me learn. He leaned in, his lips brushing her ear. Tell me something real, Sarah. Something you've never told anyone. The request caught her off guard. Why? Because I want to know the woman I married, not just the obligation I acquired. His hand slid to the small of her back. Tell me. Sarah's mind raced. She should maintain distance, keep walls up. But something about the way he asked, vulnerable beneath the command, made her answer honestly. I wanted to be a doctor. Before all this, I was pre-med at UCLA. I was going to specialize in pediatrics. Minsik pulled back to look at her. Yonsei has one of the best medical programs in Asia. I'm here on an international business exchange. Wrong program. That can be changed. He said it like it was simple. I'll make some calls. Minsik, you can't just. I can. And I will. His expression softened. You gave up your dreams to save your family. The least I can do is help you get them back. Sarah's throat tightened. Why would you do that? Because keeping you miserable and trapped doesn't benefit anyone. He stepped back, giving her space. You agreed to be my wife. I never said you had to stop being yourself. Before Sarah could respond, Minsik's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his entire demeanor shifted, the warmth evaporating. I have to take this. Don't wait up. He disappeared into his office, door closing with a firm click. Sarah stood in the kitchen, her emotions a tangled mess. 1 minute, he was the cold businessman who'd bought her. The next, he was offering to help her pursue medicine. Who is the real Kang Minsik? The next few days fell into an uncomfortable rhythm. Minsik left early for work, came home late. Sarah spent her days with Professor Lee, learning Korean until her brain hurt. Ji-hun maintained a careful distance, not hostile but not friendly either. And every night, Minsik would find Sarah somewhere in the penthouse and they'd talk. Really talk. He told her about growing up in Busan, his father's expectations, the weight of inheriting a criminal empire he never wanted but couldn't refuse. She told him about Los Angeles, about being caught between Korean and American cultures, never quite fitting in either world. And every night ended the same way. In his bed, learning each other's bodies, the only place where words weren't necessary. On Friday, exactly 1 week after the wedding, Sarah woke to find an envelope on the pillow next to her. Inside was a letter from Yonsei University's medical school. Her transfer had been approved. She'd start classes on Monday. Sarah found Minsik in the kitchen, already dressed for work. How did you do this so fast? He sipped his coffee, not meeting her eyes. I made a donation to the university. A substantial one. You bought my way into medical school? I facilitated an opportunity you already deserved. He finally looked at her. You had the grades, the test scores, the qualifications. They just needed motivation to expedite the paperwork. That's not how it's supposed to work. Nothing about our situation is how it's supposed to work. He set down his mug. Are you going to turn it down because of pride, or are you going to take the opportunity? Sarah wanted to argue, but he was right. This was her dream. Did it matter how she got there? Thank you. Don't thank me. Just succeed. He grabbed his briefcase. And Sarah? Don't mention the donation to anyone. Ever. It would cause problems. He left before she could ask what kind of problems. Medical school was intense. Sarah was weeks behind the other students, struggling with medical terminology in Korean. But she threw herself into studying with an almost desperate energy. Here, she wasn't Mrs. Kong. She was just Sarah Mitchell, pre-med student, chasing the dream she thought she'd lost. She made one friend quickly. Kim Yuna, a Seoul native with perfect English and a wicked sense of humor. They bonded over coffee and anatomy textbooks. "So you're married?" Yuna asked during a study break. "You look so young." "Arranged marriage," Sarah said, keeping it vague. "Family obligation." "Ugh, traditional parents are the worst." Yuna rolled her eyes. "My mom's been trying to set me up with her friend's son since I turned 20. Is your husband at least decent?" Sarah thought about Minseek's hands on her skin, his voice in the dark, the way he listened when she talked about her day. "He's complicated. All men are complicated. The question is whether the good outweighs the bad." Sarah didn't have an answer to that. On Sunday, Minseek informed her they were going to his parents' house for dinner. "We're something conservative. My mother is traditional." Sarah dressed in one of the outfits Minji had selected, a modest navy dress that made her look older than 20. Minseek wore an expensive suit. Jihoon was forced into dress pants and a button-down shirt. They looked like a perfect family in a photograph. The reality was much messier. Minseek's parents lived in an enormous traditional hanok in an exclusive neighborhood. His mother answered the door, her expression cooling immediately when she saw Sarah. "Welcome." The Korean was formal, distant. She barely glanced at Sarah before turning her attention to Jihoon. "Grandson, grandmother missed you." The dinner was excruciating. Minseek's parents spoke only Korean, deliberately excluding Sarah from most conversations. His father asked Minseek about business. His mother asked Jihoon about school. When they addressed Sarah at all, it was with thinly veiled criticism. "You're very young," Minseek's mother said in careful English. "How old are you exactly?" 20, Mrs. Kong. 20. The older woman's lips pursed. "Minseek is 45. That's quite an age difference." "Mother," Minseek started. "I'm simply observing. In traditional Korean families, we prefer brides closer to the groom's age. Someone mature. Established." Her eyes raked over Sarah. "Someone who understands our culture." "I'm learning," Sarah said, keeping her voice level. "Yes, I heard you started medical school." "How ambitious." The way she said it made ambition sound like a character flaw. Although traditionally, a wife focuses on home and family rather than career. Minseek's hand found Sarah's under the table, squeezing. "A warning to stay calm." "In America, women do both," Sarah replied. "This isn't America." Mrs. Kang's smile was ice. "You're a Korean wife now. Perhaps it's time to embrace Korean values." The rest of dinner passed in tense silence. When they finally left, Sarah's jaw ached from clenching it. In the car, Jihoon immediately put in his earbuds. Minseek's grip on the steering wheel was white-knuckled. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "For what? Your mother making it clear I'm not good enough? Or for you not defending me? If I'd defended you, it would have made things worse. She would have seen it as you manipulating me. So I'm just supposed to sit there and take it? For now, yes." Minseek's voice was tight. "My mother is influential. She has connections throughout Seoul's elite circles. If she decides to make you a pariah, your life here becomes impossible." "My life here is already impossible." Sarah's voice rose. "I'm 20 years old, married to a man I barely know, in a country where I don't speak the language well, trying to become a doctor while your mother treats me like hired help and your son tolerates me at best." "I know." Minseek pulled over suddenly, the car jerking to a stop on a quiet side street. He turned to face her. "I know this is hard. I know you didn't choose this. But you're doing it anyway, and you're doing it well. It doesn't feel like I'm doing it well. You survived dinner with my mother. That's an accomplishment." He reached over, cupping her face. "You're stronger than you think, Sarah." "I don't feel strong. I feel like I'm drowning." "Then let me be your anchor." He leaned in, kissing her softly. In the back seat, Jihoon made a gagging sound. Minseek pulled back, almost smiling. "We should get home." That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She slipped out of bed, leaving Minseek sleeping, and wandered to the living room. The Seoul skyline glittered below. Somewhere out there was the life she was supposed to have. College parties. Coffee dates. Normal problems. Can't sleep. Jihoon's voice startled her. He sat on the couch in the dark, phone glowing. No. You. Never can. He gestured to the spot next to him. Sarah sat, keeping distance between them. They sat in silence for a while before Jihyun spoke again. My grandmother is mean to everyone. Don't take it personally. That's supposed to make me feel better? No. But she was mean to my mom too. Made her cry all the time. Jihyun's voice went quiet. She wanted my dad to marry someone else. Someone richer. More Korean. Who did she want him to marry? Park So-hee. The woman from the wedding. Jihyun glanced at her. They dated when my dad was young. Before he met my mom. My grandmother still thinks they should be together. Sarah's stomach dropped. They dated. For like 5 years. Everyone thought they'd get married. Then my dad met my mom and that was it. So he's hated him ever since. She doesn't look like she hates him. Jihyun shrugged. Love and hate are pretty close, I guess. She keeps showing up at family things. My grandmother invites her. Sarah processed this. The beautiful woman at the wedding. The venom in her voice. Now it made sense. Why are you telling me this? Sarah asked. Jihyun was quiet for a long moment. Because you stood up to my grandmother tonight. Kind of. Most people don't. Even my mom used to just take it. He stood up. Also because you let me cry last week and didn't tell my dad. That was cool. He disappeared down the hallway before Sarah could respond. She sat in the dark, thinking about Park So-hee, about Min-sik's mother, about all the ways this marriage was more complicated than she'd imagined. When she finally returned to bed, Min-sik stirred, pulling her against him. Where did you go? Couldn't sleep. Jihyun and I talked. Min-sik's body tensed. About what? About your mother. And about Park So-hee. Silence. Then, what did he tell you? That you dated her for 5 years. That your mother wanted you to marry her. That she still comes to family events. Sarah turned to face him in the dark. Why didn't you tell me? Because it doesn't matter. That was over 20 years ago. She doesn't think it's over. So he thinks a lot of things that aren't true. Min-sik's voice hardened. She's not relevant to us. Your mother thinks she is. My mother doesn't run my life. Doesn't she? Sarah challenged. You married me because she pressured you to remarry. You invite her to control our lives because you're afraid of what she'll do if you don't. How is that not running your life? Min-sik's jaw clenched. You don't understand Korean family dynamics. Then explain them to me. Make sure you're subscribed and drop a comment if you think Min-sik is hiding more secrets. Min-sik sat up, running a hand through his hair. The Seoul city lights through the window cast shadows across his face. In Korea, family obligation isn't just important. It's everything. Filial piety, respect for elders, maintaining family honor. These aren't just traditions. They're laws we live by. That sounds like a prison. To you, maybe? To me, it's duty. He looked at her. My father built our family's position from nothing. My mother sacrificed everything to support him. They gave me life, education, opportunity. In return, I owe them respect. Even when I disagree. Even when they make you miserable? Even then. His voice was firm. That's the difference between your culture and mine. Americans prioritize individual happiness. Koreans prioritize family harmony. And where does your happiness fit into family harmony? Min-sik was quiet for a long time. It doesn't. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Sarah's chest tightened. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. It's reality. He lay back down, staring at the ceiling. So he was the woman my mother chose. Traditional family, appropriate age, understood our world. We dated because it made sense. I was expected to propose. But you didn't. No, because I met Yuna. His voice softened. She was a nurse at a hospital my father owned. I went there for a business meeting and she was arguing with the administrator about patient care. Fearless. Passionate. She didn't know who I was and didn't care. I fell in love with her immediately. Sarah felt a pang of something uncomfortably close to jealousy. Your mother didn't approve? My mother was furious. Yuna was from a working-class family. No connections. No wealth. Everything my mother didn't want. He paused. But I married her anyway. The first and only time I've ever directly defied my parents. How did they react? They cut me off for 2 years. Didn't speak to me. Didn't acknowledge Jihyun when he was born. Yuna cried every holiday, feeling guilty for tearing apart my family. The pain in his voice was raw. Then slowly my mother thawed. Started visiting. Pretended to accept Yuna. I thought we'd won. But you hadn't. No. His voice went dead. 8 years ago, my mother called. Said she wanted to take Yuna to lunch, make amends properly. Yuna was so happy. She'd been trying to win my mother's approval for years. He stopped, his breathing uneven. I was supposed to drive them. But I had a meeting I couldn't reschedule. So Yuna took my car. My mother was late, called to say she'd meet Yuna at the restaurant instead. Sarah's blood ran cold. Minseek. The bomb was meant for me. Rival gang, sending a message. They planted it under my car the night before. I was the target. His voice cracked. But Yuna started the car. Yuna died. And my mother was conveniently late. You think your mother knew? I think my mother has connections I don't ask about. I think the timing was convenient. I think she got exactly what she wanted, Yuna gone, me devastated, too guilty to ever defy her again. He turned his head to look at Sarah. I can't prove it. I'll never be able to prove it. But I know. Sarah felt sick. That's why you haven't fought back. Why you do everything she says. If I challenge her, if I push too hard, she might decide you're also inconvenient. His hand found hers in the dark. I won't let what happened to Yuna happen to you. Even if it means playing her games. So we're both prisoners. Yes, but at least we're prisoners together. He pulled her close. I'm sorry, Sarah. For all of it. You deserve better than this. We both do. She pressed her face against his chest, feeling his heartbeat steady and strong. But we're stuck with what we have. They fell asleep tangled together, both carrying the weight of a family that demanded everything and gave nothing in return. Monday morning, Sarah started her first full week of medical school. Anatomy class was brutal, the professor speaking rapid Korean while pointing at a cadaver. Sarah's hand cramped from taking notes, trying to keep up. During lunch, Yuna plopped down next to her. You look dead. I feel dead. How do you understand anything Professor Kim says? Years of practice. Yuna pushed a coffee toward her. Drink this. You'll need it for afternoon lab. They were reviewing skeletal structures when Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mrs. Kang, your presence is requested at the Shilla Hotel tea room at 4 p.m. today. Park So-hee. Sarah's stomach dropped. She showed Yuna the text. Shilla Hotel? That's fancy. Yuna's eyes widened. Wait, Park So-hee? The Park So-hee? You know her? Everyone knows her. She's like Korean royalty. Her family owns half the real estate in Gangnam. Yuna looked at Sarah with new interest. Why is she texting you? Long story. Sarah typed back, I have class until 6 p.m. The response came immediately. Skip it. This is more important. Sarah debated ignoring it. But something told her that ignoring Park So-hee would only make things worse. She texted Minseek, so he invited me to tea. Should I go? His response took 5 minutes. Go. Be polite. Tell me everything after. At 3:45 p.m., Sarah found herself in the back of a taxi heading to the Shilla Hotel, still wearing her medical school clothes, feeling completely unprepared for whatever this was. The tea room was elegant, all silk and porcelain and old money. Park So-hee sat at a corner table, looking perfect in a cream Chanel suit. She smiled when she saw Sarah, but it didn't reach her eyes. Mrs. Kong. Thank you for coming. So-hee gestured to the seat across from her. I took the liberty of ordering for us. Sarah sat, her guard up. What do you want? Direct. I like that. So-hee poured tea with practiced grace. I want to talk about Minseek. My husband. Yes, your husband. The word dripped with disdain. For now. Is that a threat? It's an observation. So-hee sipped her tea. You're what, 20? 21. 20. 20. So-hee shook her head. I was 25 when Minseek and I were together. I thought that was young. But 20? You're a child. I'm his wife. You're a placeholder. So-hee set down her cup. Let me tell you how this works, Sarah. Minseek's mother forced this marriage. She needed him married to someone appropriate, someone who could be controlled. You're young, foreign, easily dismissed when the time comes. When what time comes? When his mother decides you've served your purpose. So he leaned forward. She did this with Yuna too. Pretended to accept her, waited for the right moment, then removed her from the equation. Sarah's blood ran cold. Are you saying she killed Yuna? I'm saying convenient accidents happen around women who stand between Mrs. Kang and her plans. So his eyes were hard. Yuna was supposed to be temporary. You're even more temporary. And when you're gone, Minsik will finally marry who he should have married 20 years ago. You. Me. So he smiled. We make sense together. Same age, same world, same understanding of how things work. His mother approves. His father approves. Everyone approves except Minsik, and he'll come around eventually. He always does what his mother wants in the end. Sarah's hands shook with rage. You're delusional. Am I? You've been married 1 week. Tell me, does he love you? Has he said those words? Sarah couldn't answer. He hadn't. They had passion, connection, complicated feelings. But love? That word had never been spoken. Exactly. So his smile widened. He loved Yuna. He mourned her for 8 years. But you? You're a business arrangement. And business arrangements can be dissolved. Not while I'm alive. That's the variable, isn't it? So he stood, dropping money on the table for the tea. I'm not threatening you, Sarah. I'm warning you. This family destroys women who don't fit their plans. You can leave now, go back to America, live your life. Or you can stay and see how this ends. Your choice. She walked away, leaving Sarah sitting alone in the elegant tea room, her mind spinning. Sarah went straight home, her hands still shaking. She found Minsik in his office, working on his laptop. He looked up when she entered. How was tea with Sohee? Terrifying. Sarah closed the door. She basically told me your mother is going to have me killed. Minsik's expression darkened. She said what? Sarah repeated the conversation word for word. With each sentence, Minsik's face grew harder, colder. When she finished, he stood up, pacing like a caged animal. She's trying to scare you. Well, it worked. Sarah's voice rose. Is she right? Is your mother planning to get rid of me? No. My mother is many things, but she's not stupid enough to commit murder twice. Twice? So you do think she killed Yuna? I think she facilitated circumstances that led to Yuna's death. That's different from murder. Minsik rubbed his face. And she won't do it again because I made it very clear after Yuna died that if anything suspicious happened to anyone I cared about, I would burn her world down. Family or not. Do you care about me? The question came out small, vulnerable. Minsik stopped pacing. He looked at her for a long moment. Yes, more than I should. More than is safe. But you don't love me. I didn't say that. You didn't say you did either. He crossed the room, pulling her against him. Love is dangerous in my world, Sarah. It's a weakness enemies exploit. It gets people killed. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I can give right now. He tilted her chin up. But I will protect you. With everything I have. That's a promise. It wasn't a declaration of love. But it was something. Sarah leaned into him, letting him hold her, both of them knowing that protection might not be enough. That night, Jihoon knocked on their bedroom door. Minsik answered, and Sarah heard them talking in low voices in Korean. When Minsik came back, he looked troubled. Jihoon says my mother called. She wants us for lunch tomorrow. All of us. Just you and me. Jihoon has school. Sarah's stomach nodded. This is because of Sohee, isn't it? She told your mother we met. Probably. Minsik pulled her close. Don't worry. I'll handle my mother. But his voice lacked conviction, and they both knew it. Comment below if you think Sarah should trust Minsik to protect her, or if she needs to find her own way out of this nightmare. And hit that like button if your heart is racing as fast as mine right now. The restaurant was in an exclusive part of Gangnam, the kind of place that didn't have prices on the menu because if you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. Minsik's mother sat at a private table, already sipping tea when they arrived. She looked Sarah up and down, her expression unreadable. Sit. The command was crisp, formal. They sat. A server immediately appeared with more tea, setting cups in front of them with trembling hands. Everyone feared Mrs. Kang. Even the staff. I heard you met with Park So-hee yesterday, Mrs. Kang said in English, her accent heavy but clear. That was interesting. She invited me for tea. I thought it would be rude to refuse. Sarah kept her voice steady. Very diplomatic. Mrs. Kang's smile was sharp. Tell me, what did you discuss? She warned me that I'm temporary. That you're planning to get rid of me so Minsik can marry her instead. Minsik tensed beside her, But Sarah continued, meeting his mother's eyes. If she was going to die, she might as well die honest. Mrs. Kang's expression didn't change. And you believed her? I don't know what to believe. I've been married 1 week to a man I barely know, in a country where I don't speak the language well, surrounded by people who make it clear I'm not wanted. Sarah's voice strengthened. But I'm here. And I'm trying. That should count for something. Silence stretched across the table. Mrs. Kang studied Sarah like she was examining a business investment. Finally, she spoke. You have courage. I'll give you that. She poured more tea, her movements precise. So he is a desperate woman clinging to a past that no longer exists. She's not a threat to you. I am. Sarah's blood chilled. Excuse me. Mother, Min-sik started, but Mrs. Kang raised a hand, silencing him. Let me be clear, Sarah. I don't like you. You're too young, too American, too independent. You're not what I wanted for my son. She sipped her tea. But you're what he chose, despite my objections. That matters. I didn't choose this, Sarah said quietly. Your son bought me to save my brother's life. Yes, I'm aware of the arrangement. Mrs. Kang's eyes hardened. And yet you're here. You could have run. Could have refused. Consequences be damned. But you stayed. You're attending medical school. You're trying with Jihun. You stood up to me at dinner. She paused. That takes strength. Sarah didn't know what to say. This was not the conversation she'd expected. I didn't kill Yuna, Mrs. Kang continued, her voice flat. But I didn't mourn her either. She was weak. She cried constantly, trying to please everyone, failing to please anyone. She made my son weak. Mother, that's enough. Min-sik's voice was dangerous. No, it's not. Mrs. Kang looked at Sarah. You want to survive in this family? Stop trying to please me. I'll never like you. But I can respect you if you show spine. Yuna tried to win my approval and it destroyed her. Don't make the same mistake. So what are you saying? I'm saying prove you deserve to be here. Excel at medical school. Raise Jihun properly. Support my son's business. Be useful. Mrs. Kang's eyes narrowed. And if you ever betray him, if you embarrass this family, if you prove to be more trouble than you're worth, I won't need to kill you. I'll simply make your life so unbearable you'll beg to leave. It was possibly the most honest thing anyone in this family had said to Sarah. No pretense, no manipulation. Just raw truth. Understood, Sarah said. Good. Mrs. Kang stood. Lunch is over. Don't be late to my next family dinner. And Sarah? Wear something more conservative. That dress is cut too low for a married woman. She walked out, leaving them with the bill and a table full of uneaten food. Min-sik exhaled slowly. I'm sorry. My mother is honest. Brutal, but honest. Sarah turned to him. Did you know she was going to say all that? No. If I had, I wouldn't have brought you. He took her hand. Are you okay? I don't know. She basically said she'll make my life hell if I don't perform up to her standards. But at least I know where I stand now. Sarah managed a weak smile. It's almost refreshing. You're incredible. Min-sik pulled her close, kissing her forehead. Most people would have run screaming. Where would I run to? My brother's debt still exists. My family still needs protection. Sarah leaned into him. I'm stuck with you, remember? With me. Not stuck with me. His arms tightened around her. There's a difference. Over the next 2 weeks, Sarah fell into a grueling routine. Medical school from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., studying until midnight, a few stolen hours with Min-sik before sleep. Jihun slowly warmed up, asking her to help with his English homework, letting her drive him to Taekwondo practice, occasionally joining them for dinner. Sarah's Korean improved rapidly. Professor Lee was pleased with her progress. Minji grudgingly admitted the conservative wardrobe suited her. Even Mrs. Cho, the housekeeper, started leaving Sarah's favorite snacks in the kitchen. But the pressure was constant. Every test in medical school felt like life or death. Every interaction with Min-sik's family felt like walking a tightrope. Every moment with Min-sik himself was complicated by the fact that she was falling for him, really falling, and she had no idea if he felt the same. One Friday night, 3 weeks into the marriage, Sarah came home to find the penthouse empty. No Min-sik, no Jihun, no Mrs. Cho. A note on the kitchen counter. Business emergency. Don't wait up. M. Sarah ordered takeout, spread her anatomy textbooks across the dining table, and tried to study. But her mind kept drifting. Where was Minseek? What kind of business emergency required him to take Jihyun? At midnight, her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Mrs. Kong. A male voice, speaking accented English. This is Detective Park from Seoul Metropolitan Police. Your husband has been in an incident. Sarah's world tilted. What kind of incident? There was a shooting at a restaurant in Itaewon. Mr. Kang was present. He's been taken to Seoul National University Hospital. Is he alive? The words barely made it past her throat. Yes, but you should come immediately. Sarah grabbed her purse and ran. She didn't know Seoul well enough to navigate the subway at night, so she threw money at a taxi driver and begged him to hurry. The hospital was massive, confusing. She ran through corridors, asking for Kang Minseek in broken Korean until a nurse took pity and led her to the emergency wing. Youngie was there, Minseek's underboss, his suit jacket stained with blood. He stood when he saw Sarah. How bad? She demanded. Gunshot wound to the shoulder. He'll live. Youngie's expression was grim. It was an ambush. Rival gang, trying to take territory. They knew he'd be at that restaurant. Where's Jihyun? Safe. I got him out first. He's with my wife at our apartment. Can I see Minseek? Doctors are with him now. But Sarah, Youngie's voice dropped. This is the life. This is what being married to him means. Violence. Danger. Blood. If you can't handle it, leave now. I'm not leaving. The words came out fierce, certain. Where is he? Youngie led her to a private room. Minseek lay on a hospital bed, his shoulder bandaged, and 4 in his arm. His eyes were closed, his face pale. Sarah's heart cracked open. She sat in the chair beside his bed, taking his hand carefully. His eyes opened slowly, focusing on her. You came, he murmured. Of course I came. You're my husband. Business arrangement. Remember? But his hand squeezed hers. Shut up. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. Just shut up and don't ever get shot again. I'll try. His thumb traced circles on her palm. Sarah? Yeah, I think I'm falling in love with you. The words came out slurred from pain medication. Is that okay? Sarah's breath caught. Yeah, that's okay. Good. His eyes drifted closed. Because I'm definitely falling. He fell asleep, still holding her hand. Sarah sat there all night, watching him breathe, feeling the weight of his confession settle over her like a blanket. He loved her. This complicated, dangerous, impossible man loved her. And God help her, she loved him too. Morning came gray and cold. A doctor checked Minseek's vitals, spoke to Sarah in rapid Korean she mostly understood. The bullet had gone clean through. No major damage. He'd need physical therapy but would recover fully. Lucky. Minseek woke around 8 a.m., more alert without the heavy pain medication. You stayed. Where else would I be? Medical school. You have class. I texted Yuna. She's taking notes for me. Sarah stood, stretching her stiff muscles. How do you feel? Like I got shot. He tried to sit up, winced. Help me. Sarah adjusted the bed, fluffed pillows, feeling domestic and strange. The doctor said you can go home this afternoon. But you need to rest for at least a week. Can't. I have meetings. You have a bullet hole in your shoulder. The meetings can wait. Sarah. No. Her voice was firm. You told me last night you're falling in love with me. You don't get to say that and then immediately get yourself killed because you're too stubborn to rest. Minseek stared at her. I said that. Yes. Out loud. Very much out loud. He was quiet for a moment. Then, did you say it back? Sarah's heart pounded. This was the moment. She could deflect, make a joke, keep her walls up. Or she could jump off the cliff with him. I'm falling too, she whispered. I don't want to be. This whole situation is insane. But I am. Minseek's good arm reached for her, pulling her down to sit on the edge of the bed. Come here. She leaned in carefully, mindful of his injury. He kissed her softly, thoroughly, like he was trying to memorize the taste of her. We're idiots, he murmured against her lips. Certified idiots. This is going to complicate everything. Everything was already complicated. He kissed her again, deeper this time. When they broke apart, both breathless, someone cleared their throat from the doorway. Mrs. Kang stood there, her expression unreadable. The nurse said you were awake. Minseek's entire demeanor changed, walls slamming back into place. Mother. I'm fine. You didn't need to come. Smash that like button if you're rooting for Sarah and Minseek to make this crazy love work. Mrs. Kong walked into the room like she owned it, her heels clicking against the linoleum floor. Her eyes swept over Minseek's bandaged shoulder, then landed on Sarah sitting on the edge of his hospital bed, their hands still intertwined. You were shot, Mrs. Kang said in Korean, then switched to English for Sarah's benefit. And you didn't call me. I'm fine, Mother. It's not serious. You were shot, she repeated, her voice harder. That seems serious to me. It's business. It happens. Minseek's tone was dismissive, but Sarah felt his hand tighten around hers. Mrs. Kang's eyes narrowed. Who did this? The Kim Syndicate. They're pushing into Itaewon, trying to take my territory. Minseek shifted in the bed, wincing. Youngie is handling it. Youngie is your underboss, not your strategist. You need to handle this yourself. Mrs. Kong pulled out her phone. I'll call your father. He has connections with the Kim family. We can negotiate. No. Minseek's voice was steel. I don't need father's help. I'll manage my own business. Your pride will get you killed. My pride is what keeps me alive. Their eyes locked, a battle of wills playing out in Korean stubbornness. Finally, Minseek looked away first. I appreciate your concern, Mother. But I'm handling it. Mrs. Kang's lips pressed into a thin line. She turned to Sarah. You stayed with him all night? Yes. You missed your medical school classes? Yes. Mrs. Kong studied her for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, good. A wife should be with her husband when he's injured, even if he's an idiot who gets himself shot. It was possibly the closest thing to approval Sarah had ever received from her mother-in-law. Minseek looked equally shocked. I'll send Mrs. Cho with proper food. Hospital food is terrible. Mrs. Kang moved toward the door, then paused. And Minseek? Your wife is stronger than Yuna was. Don't waste that. She left before either of them could respond. Sarah looked at Minseek. Did your mother just compliment me? I think she did. I'm as confused as you are. He pulled her closer with his good arm. But she's right about one thing. You are strong. Stronger than I deserve. Stop saying that. You deserve good things. Do I? I've done terrible things, Sarah. Hurt people. Killed people. His voice dropped. You don't really know who I am. What I'm capable of. Then tell me. Sarah settled more carefully beside him. Tell me everything. No more secrets. Minseek was quiet for a long time, his thumb tracing patterns on her hand. Finally, he spoke. I killed my first man when I was 19. He worked for my father, skimming money, planning to betray us. My father handed me a gun and told me to handle it, to prove I was worthy of inheriting the family business. Sarah's stomach turned, but she didn't pull away. I threw up afterward. Couldn't eat for 3 days. But my father was proud. Said I'd finally become a man. Minseek's voice was hollow. I've killed 12 people since then. Some in self-defense. Some because they threatened my family. Some because it was business. I remember all their faces. Does it get easier? No. It gets harder. Because each one takes a piece of your soul until there's not much left. He looked at her. That's who you married, Sarah. A man with blood on his hands and ghosts in his head. If you want to leave, I'll understand. Sarah thought about running. About going back to LA, to her simple life, to a world where the worst violence was a bad breakup. But then she thought about Minseek's nightmares, his guilt, the way he held her like she was the only thing keeping him human. I'm not leaving, she said firmly. But I need you to promise me something. Anything. No more unnecessary violence. If you can negotiate, negotiate. If you can walk away, walk away. I can't love a man who kills without thinking about alternatives first. I always think about alternatives. Then think harder. Sarah's voice cracked. Because I can't lose you. Not now. Not when I'm just figuring out how much you mean to me. Minseek pulled her against him, burying his face in her hair. I promise. I'll try. It wasn't a perfect promise. But it was something. Minseek came home that afternoon against doctor's orders. Jihoon was waiting in the living room, trying to look tough, but his eyes were red-rimmed. When he saw his father, he ran over, then stopped himself, trying to be cool. You okay? Jihoon asked in English, his voice small. I'm fine. Takes more than one bullet to take down an old man. Min-sik ruffled his son's hair with his good hand. Were you scared? No. Jihoon's lip trembled. Maybe a little. Me too. Min-sik pulled him into a careful hug. But I'm okay. We're all okay. Sarah watched them, her heart full. This was what family looked like, messy and complicated and real. Jihoon glanced at her over his father's shoulder. Thanks for staying with him, the boy said quietly. At the hospital. Of course. That's what family does. Jihoon almost smiled. Almost. The next week was strange. Min-sik worked from home, conducting business on his laptop while Sarah changed his bandages and made sure he took his medications. Jihoon hovered, bringing his father water, asking medical questions that Sarah answered as best she could with her limited knowledge. They fell into an unexpected rhythm. Sarah would study at the dining table, Min-sik would work on the couch, Jihoon would do homework nearby. Like a real family. Almost normal, if you ignored the bodyguards outside and the gun in Min-sik's desk drawer. On Saturday, exactly 1 month after their wedding, Min-sik cornered Sarah in the kitchen while she was making coffee. I want to take you somewhere, he said. You're supposed to be resting. I've rested enough. Get dressed. Something comfortable. An hour later, they were in Min-sik's car, driving out of Seoul into the countryside. The city gave way to mountains and rice fields, small villages clinging to hillsides. Sarah watched the landscape change, feeling the knot in her chest slowly unwind. Where are we going? You'll see. They drove for 2 hours, finally stopping at a traditional hanok nestled in the mountains. It was small, simple, beautiful. Completely unlike the sterile penthouse in Seoul. This is where I come when I need to think, Min-sik said, helping her out of the car. His shoulder was still healing, but he insisted on playing gentleman. No one knows about this place except Youngie. Not even my mother. Inside, the hanok was warm and inviting. Traditional ondol heated floors, low furniture, windows overlooking a small garden. It felt like stepping into another world. It's beautiful, Sarah breathed. It was Yuna's dream. She wanted a place outside the city, away from the violence. Min-sik's voice was soft. I bought it 6 months before she died. We came here twice. After she died, I couldn't sell it. Couldn't let it go. Sarah understood. This is where you keep her memory. Yes. And I wanted to bring you here because he paused, struggling with words. Because you're not replacing her. You're something different. Something new. But I need you to know she existed. That I loved her. That part of me will always love her. I know. Sarah took his hand. And I'm not trying to replace her. I'm just trying to be me. You're more than enough. He pulled her close. I need to tell you something else. Okay. The shooting last week wasn't random. The Kim syndicate specifically targeted me because they know I'm distracted. He cupped her face. They know I've fallen in love with my wife. They know I'm not as focused on business. They see it as weakness. Is it? Yes. And no. His eyes burned into hers. Love makes you vulnerable. But it also gives you something to fight for. I've spent 8 years not caring if I lived or died. Now I care. Because of you. Sarah's throat tightened. Min-sik. I love you, Sarah. I'm in love with you. Completely. Terrifyingly. The confession came out raw, honest. I didn't want to. I fought it. But I can't anymore. You've become essential to me, and I don't know what to do with that. You don't have to do anything. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Just love me. That's enough. Is it? Because loving you puts you in danger. Makes you a target. I'm already a target. I became one the moment I married you. She stood on her toes, kissing him softly. I love you too. Even though you're impossible and stubborn and you got yourself shot. I love you. Min-sik kissed her like a man drowning, like she was air and water and salvation all at once. They stumbled back toward the bedroom, careful of his injured shoulder, urgent despite the pain. Making love in this space felt different, sacred somehow. Like they were writing new memories over old ones, building something that belonged only to them. Afterward, they lay tangled together on the traditional yo mattress, sunlight streaming through the windows. Min-sik traced lazy patterns on her bare shoulder. I need to tell you something else, he said quietly. More confessions? I don't know if my heart can take it. This is serious. He propped himself up on his good elbow. The Kim syndicate won't stop. They smell blood in the water. I need to respond, and it won't be pretty. What are you going to do? What I do best? Remind them why they should fear me. His voice went cold. I'm going to eliminate their leadership. All of them. One night, surgical strikes. Then I'll absorb their territory before anyone else can claim it. Sarah's blood chilled. You mean you're going to kill them? Yes. How many? 5. Maybe 6. He met her eyes. I know I promised to avoid unnecessary violence. But this is necessary, Sarah. If I don't strike first, they'll come for us again. For me, for Jihoon, for you. And there's no other way? No negotiation. They shot me. In my world, that requires blood payment. His expression softened. I'm not asking permission. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Because I promised no more secrets. Sarah sat up, pulling the blanket around herself. When? Next week. Youngie is making arrangements. Will you be safe? As safe as I can be in this business. He pulled her back down against him. But I'll come home to you. That's a promise. Sarah wanted to argue, to beg him to find another way. But she knew the world he lived in, the rules that governed it. Violence was currency. Mercy was weakness. If he didn't respond, they'd see him as vulnerable. And vulnerable men died. Just come home, she whispered. Whatever you have to do, just come home to me. Always. He kissed her forehead. You're my home now, Sarah. The only real home I've ever had. They stayed at the hammock until sunset, pretending they were just a normal couple in love, not a crime boss and his reluctant wife planning for violence. When they finally drove back to Seoul, the city lights seemed harsher, colder. Reality crashing back in. The next week passed in tense anticipation. Min-sik was gone most days, planning with Youngie, making preparations. Sarah threw herself into medical school, studying until her eyes burned, trying not to think about what was coming. Jihoon knew something was happening. He'd grown up in this world, understood the signs. Thursday night, he knocked on Sarah's bedroom door while Min-sik was out. Is Dad going to kill people? He asked bluntly. Sarah considered lying. But Jihoon deserved honesty. Yes. Because of the shooting? Yes. Jihoon sat on the edge of the bed, looking older than 13. My mom hated this part. The violence. She tried to get Dad to go legitimate, to leave the family business. He was going to, before she died. What stopped him? Guilt. Rage. Grief. Jihoon's voice was matter of fact. He blamed himself for her death. Threw himself back into the business like he was trying to die too. Just took him 8 years to realize he wanted to live again. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me if you think Sarah made the right choice staying with him. Friday night arrived like a death sentence. Min-sik came home at 6 p.m., dressed in all black, his face a mask of cold determination Sarah hadn't seen since their wedding day. The warm man who'd confessed his love in the mountains was gone. The Ice King had returned. He found Sarah in the bedroom, studying. She looked up when he entered, her heart dropping at his expression. Tonight, he said simply. Sarah closed her textbook. What time? Midnight. I'll be gone by 11. He moved to the closet, checking weapons Sarah tried not to think about. Youngie has 4 teams positioned. It'll be quick. Clean. By morning, the Kim syndicate will be history. And you'll be home? By dawn. He turned to face her. If something goes wrong, Youngie has instructions. He'll get you and Jihoon out of Korea. There's money in accounts under your name, enough to disappear. Stop. Sarah stood, crossing to him. You're coming home. Don't talk like you're not. I need you to be prepared. No. You're coming home because you promised. Her voice shook. You promised, Min-sik. His mask cracked slightly. He pulled her against him, holding her tight. I'll try my hardest. Don't try. Do. She looked up at him. I can't do this without you. I can't be in this country and this life without you. So you come home? That's not a request. I love you. The Korean came out soft, reverent. I love you too. Which is why you're coming home. They had dinner together, all 3 of them, the tension thick enough to cut. Jihoon pushed food around his plate, not eating. Min-sik barely touched his meal. Sarah forced herself to eat, knowing it might be the last normal thing that happened for a while. At 10:30, Min-sik went to say goodbye to Jihoon. Sarah heard them talking in Korean through the door, Min-sik's voice low and serious, Jihoon's responses getting quieter. When Minsik came out, his eyes were wet. What did you tell him? Sarah asked. That I love him. That if anything happens to me, he should listen to Youngie. And that you'll take care of him. He looked at Sarah. You will, won't you? If something happens, nothing is going to happen. But if it does, then yes, I'll take care of him. Sarah's voice broke. But it won't come to that because you're coming home. At 10:50, Youngie's car pulled up outside. Minsik checked his weapons one last time, kissed Sarah like it might be the last time, and walked out the door. Sarah watched from the window as he got into the car and disappeared into Seoul's neon-lit streets. The waiting was torture. Sarah tried to study but couldn't focus. She tried to sleep but kept checking her phone. Midnight came and went. 1 a.m. 2 a.m. No word. At 2:30, Ji-hoon appeared in her doorway in his pajamas. Can't sleep either? No. Can I wait with you? Yeah. Come on. They sat together on the couch, not talking, just existing in shared anxiety. Ji-hoon fell asleep around 3 a.m., his head on Sarah's shoulder. She stayed awake, watching the city lights, praying to a god she wasn't sure she believed in. Her phone rang at 4:47 a.m. Youngie's name on the screen. Sarah's hand shook as she answered. It's done, Youngie said, his voice exhausted. We're coming home. Is he okay? He's fine. Everyone's fine. We lost one man, but the Kim leadership is eliminated. It's over. Sarah's whole body sagged with relief. How long until you're here? 20 minutes. Sarah woke Ji-hoon gently. Your dad's okay. He's coming home. The boy's eyes filled with tears. Really? Really? They waited at the window together. When Minsik's car finally pulled up at 5:15 a.m., they both ran to the door. Minsik walked in covered in blood, his face exhausted, his eyes haunted. But alive. Breathing. Home. Ji-hoon crashed into him, not caring about the blood. You came back. Always. Minsik held his son with one arm, reaching for Sarah with the other. I promised. They stood there in the entryway, holding each other as the sun rose over Seoul. 3 broken people who'd somehow become a family. Later, after Minsik had showered and changed, after Ji-hoon had gone back to bed, Sarah found him on the balcony, staring at the sunrise. She wrapped her arms around him from behind. Do you want to talk about it? No. Okay. They stood in silence for a long time. Finally, Minsik spoke. It's done. The Kim syndicate is finished. Their territory is ours. We're safe now. For how long? For a while. Maybe a few months. Maybe a year. Someone else will always rise up, challenge me. That's how this world works. He turned to face her. But for now, we're safe. And the man you lost? Minsik's joy tightened. He had a wife. 2 kids. I'm taking care of them. Full financial support for life. It doesn't bring him back, but it's something. You feel guilty. I always feel guilty. Every man who dies for me, every family destroyed because of my decisions. It adds up, Sarah. Eventually, you're drowning in guilt and blood, and there's no way to get clean. Sarah took his face in her hands. Then let's build something clean. Something good. Use your power for more than just territory and revenge. What do you mean? An idea had been forming in Sarah's mind for weeks. Now felt like the right time to voice it. Medical clinics. Free or low cost in poor neighborhoods. We can use your connections, your money, to actually help people. Give back to the communities your business has hurt. Minsik stared at her. You want me to run charity clinics? I want us to run them. I'm going to be a doctor eventually. You have the resources and infrastructure. We could actually make a difference. She saw him considering it. Think about it. A legitimate business that actually helps people. Your mother would approve because it's good PR. And it would give you something to be proud of besides violence. You're serious. Completely serious. Sarah's eyes blazed with passion. I didn't give up everything to just be a mob wife, Minsik. Let me be more. Let us be more. Something shifted in his expression. Hope, maybe. Or possibility. We need to be careful. Can't let it be obvious it's my money or rival gangs will target the clinics. So we set it up through shell companies. Make it look independent. You've really thought this through. I've had a lot of time to think. Sarah smiled. So, what do you say? Minsik pulled her into his arms. I say you're extraordinary. And yes, let's build something good. They kissed as the sun rose higher, both of them bloody and exhausted and in love, planning a future that mixed darkness and light in equal measure. The next month was chaos. Minseek absorbed the Kim syndicate's territory, negotiating with other crime families to avoid more bloodshed. Sarah passed her first medical school exams with high marks. Jehun started calling Sarah, sometimes, the Korean word for mom, then getting embarrassed and switching back to her name. And together, Sarah and Minseek started planning the clinic project. They met with architects, healthcare consultants, community leaders. Minseek funneled money through 3 different shell companies. Sarah used her medical school connections to recruit volunteer doctors. 2 months after their wedding, they opened the first clinic in a poor neighborhood in Dongdaemun. Nothing fancy, just basic healthcare for people who couldn't afford it otherwise. Sarah worked there every Saturday, shadowing the doctors, learning, helping. Minseek came to the opening, dressed in an expensive suit, surrounded by bodyguards. The community members didn't know who he was, just that he was the rich donor making this possible. He watched Sarah interact with patients, her face glowing with purpose, and felt something in his chest crack open. "She's good at this," Youngie said, appearing at his elbow. "Natural caregiver. She's good at everything." Minseek couldn't take his eyes off her. "I don't deserve her." "Probably not. But you have her anyway." Youngie smirked. "Love looks good on you, boss. Makes you almost human." "Shut up." "Never." That night, Sarah came home exhausted and happy. "Did you see the turnout? We treated 43 patients today. 43 people who needed help and got it." "I saw." Minseek pulled her onto the couch next to him. "You were amazing. We were amazing. This was your money, your connections, your vision, your passion." He kissed her temple. "I'm proud of you." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "No one's ever said that to me before." "Then I'll say it every day." He tilted her chin up. "I'm proud of you, Sarah. Proud to be your husband. Proud that you chose to stay when you could have run. I'm proud of you too. For letting me do this. For trying to be more than what you were." They made love slowly that night, taking their time, memorizing each other. Afterward, tangled together, Sarah asked the question that had been bothering her. "What happens when your mother finds out about the clinics?" "She already knows." Sarah sat up. "What?" "I told her last week. She thinks it's brilliant. Good PR, tax write-offs, makes the family look philanthropic." Minseek pulled her back down. "She actually said your wife is smarter than she looks. For my mother, that's a glowing endorsement. I'll take it." Sarah laughed, the sound free and genuine. Who knew saving lives would be good for the mob's image? Who knew the mob boss would fall in love with an idealistic American girl? Who knew the idealistic American girl would fall for the mob boss? They smiled at each other in the dark, 2 impossible people in an impossible situation that somehow worked. But peace never lasted long in Minseek's world. 3 months into their marriage, Sarah came home from medical school to find the penthouse full of unfamiliar men. Bodyguards, she realized, more than usual. Something was wrong. She found Minseek in his office with Youngie and 3 other men she didn't recognize. They were speaking rapid Korean, too fast for her to follow. When Minseek saw her, his expression hardened. "We'll continue this later," he said in Korean. The men filed out, leaving them alone. "What's going on?" Sarah asked. "Close the door." She did. Minseek looked exhausted, stressed in a way she hadn't seen since before the Kim syndicate elimination. "There's a problem," he said carefully. "A big one." "What kind of problem?" "The kind that puts everything at risk." He ran a hand through his hair. "Your brother, Tyler. He's gambling again." Sarah's stomach dropped. "What?" "He's back in debt. Different people this time, but the same story. $500,000. Minseek's voice was flat. "And he's telling people he has connections. That his sister is married to Kong Minseek. That family will protect him." "Oh God." Sarah sank into a chair. "How bad is it?" "Bad. The people he owes are connected to the Yakuza. Japanese organized crime. They're using your brother to get leverage on me, threaten my territory, start a war I can't afford right now. What do we do?" Minseek looked at her with something like pity. "There's only one solution, Sarah. Your brother needs to disappear. Permanently." The word hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Sarah's blood ran cold. "You mean kill him?" "I mean make him vanish." New identity, new country, new life where he can't gamble and endanger us again. Minsik's eyes were hard. But yes, if that's not possible, then the alternative is permanent. Sarah stood on shaking legs. You can't kill my brother. I can't let him start a war that kills dozens of my people either. His voice rose. He's making me a target, Sarah. Making you a target. Making Jihon a target. Because he's a selfish addict who doesn't care who he hurts. He's my brother. And you're my wife. Minsik stood, his control fracturing. I love you. But I won't let your family destroy mine. Not again. Hit that like button if your heart is breaking for Sarah right now. Sarah's mind spun. Tyler, her stupid, reckless, selfish brother who'd gotten her into this mess in the first place. The brother who'd called her twice since the wedding, both times asking for money. The brother who'd promised he was done gambling, swore he'd learned his lesson. Let me talk to him, Sarah said. Before you do anything. Let me try. Sarah, please. Her voice broke. He's the reason we're married. The reason I'm here. I can't just let you kill him without trying to save him first. Minsik's jaw clenched. You have 48 hours. If he doesn't agree to disappear, if he makes one more stupid move, I handle it my way. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. His eyes were cold. And Sarah? If he refuses help, if he chooses gambling over his own life, you don't get to blame me for what happens next. That's on him. Sarah called Tyler immediately. He answered on the fifth ring, his voice slurred. Drunk or high, she couldn't tell. Sarah, my favorite sister. How's married life? Tyler, what the hell did you do? She didn't bother hiding her fury. You're gambling again? After everything. It's not that bad. I've got a system this time. You owe $500,000 to the Yakuza. Silence. Then, how do you know that? Because they're threatening my husband. Because you're using my marriage as a shield while you throw money away. Sarah's voice rose. You're going to get people killed, Tyler. You're going to get me killed. No one's going to kill you. You're married to Kong Minsik. You're untouchable. That's not how this works. You're making enemies of people who don't care about rules or family ties. You're painting a target on all of us. So tell your husband to pay them off. He's loaded. $500,000 is nothing to him. Sarah wanted to scream. He's not paying your debts again, Tyler. He's done. We're done. You have two choices. You take a new identity and disappear somewhere the Yakuza can't find you. Or you die. Those are your options. You're being dramatic. I'm being realistic. Minsik gave me 48 hours to convince you to leave. If you don't, he'll kill you himself. And this time, I won't stop him. Another pause. You'd let him kill your own brother? I'd let him protect our family from your selfishness, yes. The words hurt coming out, but they were true. I love you, Tyler. But I love my husband more. I love the life I'm building here more. And I won't let you destroy it. When did you become so cold? When I had to grow up fast to clean up your messes. Sarah's throat tightened. Please, Tyler. Take the deal. Disappear. Start over somewhere safe. I'll make sure you have money, support, everything you need. Just stop gambling and stop using my marriage as a get-out-of-jail-free card. I need to think about it. You have 48 hours. Then it's out of my hands. She hung up before he could argue more. Minsik was waiting when she came out of the bedroom. How did it go? About as well as expected. He thinks I'm being dramatic. Sarah collapsed onto the couch. He'll call back. Probably tomorrow when he's sober and realizes I'm serious. And if he doesn't take the deal? Sarah looked at her husband, this man she'd fallen impossibly in love with, and made a choice that would have horrified her 3 months ago. Then you do what you have to do. I won't stop you. Minsik sat beside her, pulling her against him. I'm sorry. Don't be. This is who Tyler is. I've been making excuses for him my whole life. She pressed her face into Minsik's chest. I just wish he'd chosen differently. They sat in heavy silence. Finally, Minsik spoke. Youngie found something else. About Tyler's debts. What? The Yakuza contact he's dealing with is named Tanaka Ryu. He's young, ambitious, looking to make a name by taking down established Korean operations. Tyler's debt is almost secondary. Tanaka wants an excuse to come after me. So this was a setup from the start? Partially. Tyler's gambling is real. But Tanaka saw an opportunity and exploited it. Minsik's voice hardened. Which means even if Tyler disappears, Tanaka will find another excuse to start trouble. What are you going to do? Meet with him. Tomorrow night. Neutral territory. Try to negotiate before this becomes a full war. He looked at her. It might not work. He might want war regardless. Then we prepare for war. Sarah said it with more confidence than she felt. The next day crawled by. Sarah couldn't focus in medical school, kept checking her phone for a call from Tyler that never came. Yuna noticed her distraction. Everything okay? Family drama. The American kind or the Korean kind? Both. Sarah managed a weak smile. It's complicated. That evening, Min-sik dressed for his meeting with Tanaka. All black, expensive suit, looking every inch the dangerous crime lord. He checked weapons, gave Youngie final instructions, kissed Sarah goodbye. If this goes wrong. It won't, Sarah interrupted. You're coming home. We've been through this. Stubborn woman. You married me. That's your problem. She kissed him fiercely. Come home. Always. He left at 9 p.m. Sarah tried to study, gave up, paced the penthouse. Jihoon joined her around 10, both of them too anxious to pretend everything was fine. This is about your brother, isn't it? Jihoon asked. I heard Dad talking to Youngie. Yeah, your brother sounds like an idiot. He is. But he's still my brother. My mom used to say family is who you choose, not who you're born with. Jihoon looked at her. You chose us. That makes you more family than someone who only takes and never gives. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. When did you get so wise? I've had 3 months with you. Some of it stuck. He smiled, rare and genuine. You're good for my dad. And me. Even when everything's crazy. Thank you, Jihoon. That means everything. At 11:47 p.m., Min-sik's car pulled up. Sarah ran to the door, relief flooding through her. He walked in looking exhausted but unharmed. How did it go? Better than expected. Worse than hoped. He loosened his tie. Tanaka is young and stupid but not suicidal. I explained that going to war with me would cost him more than any territory is worth. He's considering backing off. And Tyler's debt? Forgiven. In exchange, Tyler has to leave Korea within 72 hours and never come back. If he does, all bets are off. Sarah sagged with relief. He agreed. He doesn't have a choice. It's that or I hand him over to Tanaka personally. Min-sik's expression was grim. Your brother gets to live, Sarah. But he'll never be part of your life again. That's the price. It hurt more than Sarah expected. Tyler was selfish and reckless and had nearly destroyed everything. But he was still her little brother. The kid she'd helped raise after their dad left. The teenager she'd tutored through high school. Cutting him out completely felt like amputating a limb. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Min-sik held her while she cried, quiet tears for a relationship that couldn't survive the weight of addiction and bad choices. Tyler called the next morning. I heard about the deal. You're taking it? Do I have a choice? No. Sarah's voice was firm. Where will you go? Australia, maybe. Somewhere far away where I can't screw up your life anymore. He paused. I'm sorry, Sarah. For all of it. I never meant. I know. But intentions don't matter. Actions do. She softened slightly. I love you, Tyler. But I can't keep saving you from yourself. This is it. Your last chance. I know. His voice cracked. Take care of yourself, okay? And tell Mom I'm sorry. I will. Goodbye, Tyler. Goodbye, Sarah. She hung up, feeling like she'd closed a chapter of her life that could never be reopened. Min-sik appeared behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. You okay? No. But I will be. She turned in his arms. Thank you. For giving him a chance. I did it for you. Only for you. He kissed her forehead. But Sarah? No more chances. Not for him. Not for any of your family. They used up all their goodwill. I understand. Life slowly returned to normal, or what passed for normal in their world. Sarah threw herself into medical school and the clinic work. Min-sik consolidated his expanded territory, making sure everyone knew the Kim syndicate's downfall wasn't a fluke. Jihoon started bringing friends home from school, no longer ashamed of his family situation. For months into their marriage, Sarah realized her period was late. Very late. She bought a pregnancy test on the way home from school, her hands shaking as she waited for the results. Positive. Sarah stared at the two pink lines, her mind blank with shock. Pregnant. She was pregnant with Kong Min-seek's baby. 4 months ago, she'd been a college student in LA. Now she was married to a crime lord, living in Seoul, studying to be a doctor, and carrying his child. She needed to tell him. But how? This wasn't planned. They'd been careful mostly, but apparently not careful enough. That night, Sarah found Min-seek in his office, working late. Can we talk? Always. He saved his work, giving her his full attention. What's wrong? You look pale. I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air. Min-seek's expression went through several emotions too fast to track. Shock. Fear. Something that might have been joy. Then carefully controlled neutrality. How far along? I don't know. Maybe 6 weeks? I need to see a doctor. I'll arrange it. Tomorrow. The best obstetrician in Seoul. He stood, moved toward her, stopped. How do you feel about this? Terrified. Overwhelmed. Completely unprepared. Sarah's voice shook. I'm 20 years old, in medical school, married to a man whose life is constantly in danger. This is the worst possible timing. Do you want to keep it? The question was gentle, no judgment. Sarah appreciated that he was giving her a choice. I don't know. Do you? Min-seek was quiet for a long moment. Then, I want whatever you want. But Sarah, if you're asking my personal opinion, yes, I want this baby. His voice went soft. I want a family with you. Not just a marriage of convenience. Something real. We're already real. I know. But a child would be, he struggled for words. Evidence. That something good came from how we started. That we built something worth keeping. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared. Me too. He pulled her into his arms. But we'll figure it out together. Like everything else. Your mother is going to have opinions. My mother always has opinions. Ignore her. He kissed her temple. This is our decision. Our family. Our baby. Sarah let herself imagine it. A baby with Min-seek's eyes. A little girl with her curls. A son with his stubborn determination. A tangible piece of the love they'd built from impossible circumstances. Okay, she whispered. Okay, let's do this. Min-seek's arms tightened around her. Sarah, you and this baby. My whole world. I love you too. Both of you. She placed a hand on her still flat stomach. All of us. They stood there in his office, holding each other, a family of two about to become 3, both terrified and hopeful and so deeply in love it hurt. The next morning, Min-seek took Sarah to the best obstetric clinic in Seoul. The doctor confirmed she was 7 weeks pregnant, due in late summer. Everything looked healthy. Normal. Like making a baby with a crime lord in a forced marriage was the most natural thing in the world. Drop a comment if you think Sarah and Min-seek can actually make this family work, and hit that like button if you're emotionally invested in this baby already. Sarah's mind spun. Tyler, her stupid, reckless, selfish brother who'd gotten her into this mess in the first place. The brother who'd called her twice since the wedding, both times asking for money. The brother who'd promised he was done gambling, swore he'd learned his lesson. Let me talk to him, Sarah said. Before you do anything. Let me try. Sarah, please. Her voice broke. He's the reason we're married. The reason I'm here. I can't just let you kill him without trying to save him first. Min-seek's jaw clenched. You have 48 hours. If he doesn't agree to disappear, if he makes one more stupid move, I handle it my way. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. His eyes were cold. And Sarah? If he refuses help, if he chooses gambling over his own life, you don't get to blame me for what happens next. That's on him. Sarah called Tyler immediately. He answered on the 5th ring, his voice slurred. Drunk or high, she couldn't tell. Sarah, my favorite sister. How's married life? Tyler, what the hell did you do? She didn't bother hiding her fury. You're gambling again? After everything. It's not that bad. I've got a system this time. You owe $500,000 to the Yakuza. Silence. Then, how do you know that? Because they're threatening my husband. Because you're using my marriage as a shield while you throw money away. Sarah's voice rose. You're going to get people killed, Tyler. You're going to get me killed. No one's going to kill you. You're married to Kong Min-seek. You're untouchable. That's not how this works. You're making enemies of people who don't care about rules or family ties. You're painting a target on all of us. So tell your husband to pay them off. He's loaded. $500,000 is nothing to him. Sarah wanted to scream. He's not paying your debts again, Tyler. He's done. We're done. You have two choices. You take a new identity and disappear somewhere the Yakuza can't find you. Or you die. Those are your options. You're being dramatic. I'm being realistic. Minseek gave me 48 hours to convince you to leave. If you don't, he'll kill you himself. And this time, I won't stop him. Another pause. You'd let him kill your own brother? I'd let him protect our family from your selfishness, yes. The words hurt coming out, but they were true. I love you, Tyler. But I love my husband more. I love the life I'm building here more. And I won't let you destroy it. When did you become so cold? When I had to grow up fast to clean up your messes. Sarah's throat tightened. Please, Tyler. Take the deal. Disappear. Start over somewhere safe. I'll make sure you have money, support, everything you need. Just stop gambling and stop using my marriage as a get-out-of-jail-free card. I need to think about it. You have 48 hours. Then it's out of my hands. She hung up before he could argue more. Minseek was waiting when she came out of the bedroom. How did it go? About as well as expected. He thinks I'm being dramatic. Sarah collapsed onto the couch. He'll call back. Probably tomorrow when he's sober and realizes I'm serious. And if he doesn't take the deal? Sarah looked at her husband, this man she'd fallen impossibly in love with, and made a choice that would have horrified her 3 months ago. Then you do what you have to do. I won't stop you. Minseek sat beside her, pulling her against him. I'm sorry. Don't be. This is who Tyler is. I've been making excuses for him my whole life. She pressed her face into Minseek's chest. I just wish he'd chosen differently. They sat in heavy silence. Finally, Minseek spoke. Youngie found something else. About Tyler's debts. What? The Yakuza contact he's dealing with is named Tanaka Ryu. He's young, ambitious, looking to make a name by taking down established Korean operations. Tyler's debt is almost secondary. Tanaka wants an excuse to come after me. So this was a setup from the start? Partially. Tyler's gambling is real. But Tanaka saw an opportunity and exploited it. Minseek's voice hardened. Which means even if Tyler disappears, Tanaka will find another excuse to start trouble. What are you going to do? Meet with him. Tomorrow night. Neutral territory. Try to negotiate before this becomes a full war. He looked at her. It might not work. He might want war regardless. Then we prepare for war. Sarah said it with more confidence than she felt. The next day crawled by. Sarah couldn't focus in medical school, kept checking her phone for a call from Tyler that never came. Yuna noticed her distraction. Everything okay? Family drama. The American kind or the Korean kind? Both. Sarah managed a weak smile. It's complicated. That evening, Minseek dressed for his meeting with Tanaka. All black, expensive suit, looking every inch the dangerous crime lord. He checked weapons, gave Youngie final instructions, kissed Sarah goodbye. If this goes wrong. It won't, Sarah interrupted. You're coming home. We've been through this. Stubborn woman. You married me. That's your problem. She kissed him fiercely. Come home. Always. He left at 9 p.m. Sarah tried to study, gave up, paced the penthouse. Jihoon joined her around 10, both of them too anxious to pretend everything was fine. This is about your brother, isn't it? Jihoon asked. I heard Dad talking to Youngie. Yeah, your brother sounds like an idiot. He is. But he's still my brother. My mom used to say family is who you choose, not who you're born with. Jihoon looked at her. You chose us. That makes you more family than someone who only takes and never gives. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. When did you get so wise? I've had 3 months with you. Some of it stuck. He smiled, rare and genuine. You're good for my dad. And me. Even when everything's crazy. Thank you, Jihoon. That means everything. At 11:47 p.m., Minseek's car pulled up. Sarah ran to the door, relief flooding through her. He walked in looking exhausted but unharmed. How did it go? Better than expected. Worse than hoped. He loosened his tie. Tanaka is young and stupid but not suicidal. I explained that going to war with me would cost him more than any territory is worth. He's considering backing off. And Tyler's debt? Forgiven. In exchange, Tyler has to leave Korea within 72 hours and never come back. If he does, all bets are off. Sarah sagged with relief. He agreed. He doesn't have a choice. It's that or I hand him over to Tanaka personally. Minseek's expression was grim. Your brother gets to live, Sarah. But he'll never be part of your life again. That's the price. It hurt more than Sarah expected. Tyler was selfish and reckless and had nearly destroyed everything. But he was still her little brother. The kid she'd helped raise after their dad left. The teenager she'd tutored through high school. Cutting him out completely felt like amputating a limb. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Minseek held her while she cried, quiet tears for a relationship that couldn't survive the weight of addiction and bad choices. Tyler called the next morning. I heard about the deal. You're taking it? Do I have a choice? No. Sarah's voice was firm. Where will you go? Australia, maybe. Somewhere far away where I can't screw up your life anymore. He paused. I'm sorry, Sarah. For all of it. I never meant. I know. But intentions don't matter. Actions do. She softened slightly. I love you, Tyler. But I can't keep saving you from yourself. This is it. Your last chance. I know. His voice cracked. Take care of yourself, okay? And tell Mom I'm sorry. I will. Goodbye, Tyler. Goodbye, Sarah. She hung up, feeling like she'd closed a chapter of her life that could never be reopened. Minseek appeared behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. You okay? No. But I will be. She turned in his arms. Thank you. For giving him a chance. I did it for you. Only for you. He kissed her forehead. But Sarah? No more chances. Not for him. Not for any of your family. They used up all their goodwill. I understand. Life slowly returned to normal, or what passed for normal in their world. Sarah threw herself into medical school and the clinic work. Minseek consolidated his expanded territory, making sure everyone knew the Kim syndicate's downfall wasn't a fluke. Jihoon started bringing friends home from school, no longer ashamed of his family situation. For months into their marriage, Sarah realized her period was late. Very late. She bought a pregnancy test on the way home from school, her hands shaking as she waited for the results. Positive. Sarah stared at the 2 pink lines, her mind blank with shock. Pregnant. She was pregnant with Kong Minseek's baby. 4 months ago, she'd been a college student in LA. Now she was married to a crime lord, living in Seoul, studying to be a doctor, and carrying his child. She needed to tell him. But how? This wasn't planned. They'd been careful mostly, but apparently not careful enough. That night, Sarah found Minseek in his office, working late. Can we talk? Always. He saved his work, giving her his full attention. What's wrong? You look pale. I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air. Minseek's expression went through several emotions too fast to track. Shock. Fear. Something that might have been joy. Then carefully controlled neutrality. How far along? I don't know. Maybe 6 weeks? I need to see a doctor. I'll arrange it. Tomorrow. The best obstetrician in Seoul. He stood, moved toward her, stopped. How do you feel about this? Terrified. Overwhelmed. Completely unprepared. Sarah's voice shook. I'm 20 years old, in medical school, married to a man whose life is constantly in danger. This is the worst possible timing. Do you want to keep it? The question was gentle, no judgment. Sarah appreciated that he was giving her a choice. I don't know. Do you? Minseek was quiet for a long moment. Then, I want whatever you want. But Sarah, if you're asking my personal opinion, yes, I want this baby. His voice went soft. I want a family with you. Not just a marriage of convenience. Something real. We're already real. I know. But a child would be, he struggled for words. Evidence. That something good came from how we started. That we built something worth keeping. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared. Me too. He pulled her into his arms. But we'll figure it out together. Like everything else. Your mother is going to have opinions. My mother always has opinions. Ignore her. He kissed her temple. This is our decision. Our family. Our baby. Sarah let herself imagine it. A baby with Minseek's eyes. A little girl with her curls. A son with his stubborn determination. A tangible piece of the love they'd built from impossible circumstances. Okay, she whispered. Okay, let's do this. Minseek's arms tightened around her. Sarah, you and this baby. My whole world. I love you too. Both of you. She placed a hand on her still flat stomach. All of us. They stood there in his office, holding each other, a family of two about to become three, both terrified and hopeful and so deeply in love it hurt. The next morning, Minseek took Sarah to the best obstetric clinic in Seoul. The doctor confirmed she was 7 weeks pregnant, due in late summer. Everything looked healthy. Normal. Like making a baby with a crime lord in a forced marriage was the most natural thing in the world. Drop a comment if you think Sarah and Minseek can actually make this family work, and hit that like button if you're emotionally invested in this baby already. They told Ji-hun first. The boy was doing homework at the dining table when they sat down across from him, both looking nervous. He glanced up, immediately suspicious. What did I do? Nothing. We have news. Minseek looked at Sarah, silently asking if she wanted to tell him. She nodded. I'm pregnant. You're going to be a big brother. Ji-hun's mouth fell open. His eyes went wide. For a long moment, he just stared. Then, are you serious? Very serious. So there's going to be a baby? Like, an actual baby? Here. In about 7 months, yes. Sarah tried to read his expression. How do you feel about that? Ji-hun was quiet, processing. Then his face broke into the biggest smile Sarah had ever seen from him. That's awesome. I've always wanted a sibling. He paused. Wait, does this mean you're staying? Like, permanently staying? Sarah's throat tightened. Yeah, I'm staying. Good. Ji-hun stood up, awkward but determined, and hugged her. You're really my mom now. For real. Sarah held him tight, tears streaming down her face. For real. Minseek watched them, his own eyes wet. His broken family was healing, piece by piece, held together by this strong American woman who'd stolen his heart. Telling Mrs. Kang was harder. They drove to her house on Sunday, Sarah's stomach churning with anxiety. Minseek's mother sat in her formal receiving room, tea already prepared, her expression inscrutable. You wanted to see me? Mrs. Kang's eyes went to Sarah. Both of you. This must be important. Mother, Sarah is pregnant. Minseek delivered the news directly, no build-up. Mrs. Kang's teacup paused halfway to her lips. She set it down carefully. How far along? 7 weeks. I see. She studied Sarah with those sharp eyes. And you're keeping it? Yes. Sarah kept her voice steady. We're keeping the baby. Mrs. Kang was silent for what felt like an eternity. Then, surprisingly, good. Sarah blinked. Good. A child will strengthen your position in this family. Give you purpose beyond medical school and clinic work. And it will give my son something to live for besides revenge and territory. Mrs. Kang almost smiled. You've done well, Sarah. This is what I wanted when I pushed for this marriage. Stability. Family. Continuity. So you're not angry? Angry? Why would I be angry? This is excellent news. Mrs. Kang's expression softened almost imperceptibly. I will be a grandmother again. Ji-hun needs a sibling. The family needs an heir. Everything is proceeding as it should. It was the most approval Sarah had ever received from her mother-in-law. She didn't know whether to be relieved or terrified. After they left, Minseek exhaled heavily. That went better than expected. Your mother is pleased I'm fulfilling my role as baby-making machine. That's not what she meant. Isn't it? Sarah looked out the car window at Seoul passing by. I'm finally useful. Finally serving my purpose. Minseek pulled over suddenly, the car jerking to a stop. He turned to face her. Listen to me. You are not a machine. You are not just serving a purpose. You're my wife. The mother of my children. The woman I love more than my own life. His voice was fierce. My mother's approval doesn't matter. What matters is us. This family we're building. Understand? Sarah nodded, tears spilling over. Pregnancy hormones are making me crazy. You're allowed to be crazy. You're growing a human. He wiped her tears gently. But don't ever think you're just useful. You're essential. There's a difference. They drove home, Sarah feeling settled again. That night, Minseek fell asleep with his hand on her stomach, protective even in sleep. Sarah lay awake, thinking about the future. A baby. Their baby. Growing inside her, connecting her to this life, this family, this impossible love story permanently. Medical school became harder as the weeks passed. Morning sickness hit hard, forcing Sarah to miss classes. Professor Kim was understanding once she explained, but the other students gossiped. The young American married student, pregnant already, probably trapped. If they only knew. Yuna was the only one Sarah told the full truth. They were studying in the library when Sarah finally broke down. I got pregnant in a forced marriage to a crime lord, and now I'm tied to this life forever. How insane is that? Yuna looked up from her textbook. Pretty insane. But are you happy? That's the crazy part. I am. I love him. I love Jihyun. I love this baby already. Sarah's hand went to her stomach, now showing a small bump at 12 weeks. I should hate all of this. But I don't. Then maybe it's not insane. Maybe it's just your life. Yuna smiled. Besides, crime lord husband sounds way more interesting than the boring guys our parents want us to marry. It's definitely not boring. Sarah laughed despite everything. At 16 weeks, they found out the sex. A girl. Mincy cried in the ultrasound room, holding Sarah's hand, staring at the screen like it held all the secrets of the universe. A daughter, he whispered. We're having a daughter. Are you disappointed? I know some Korean families prefer sons. Disappointed? Sarah, she's perfect. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. A little girl. Our little girl. They started preparing the nursery, converting one of the guest rooms. Mincy insisted on the best of everything. Designer furniture, imported from Italy. The softest blankets, organic cotton. Educational toys recommended by child development experts. Sarah had to rein him in. She's a baby, not a CEO. She doesn't need a $15,000 crib. She's my daughter. She deserves the best. She deserves parents who love her. The rest is just stuff. Jihyun helped paint the nursery pale yellow, getting more paint on himself than the walls. They laughed together, the three of them, imagining the little girl who would join their family. Jihyun was already planning how to teach her taekwondo, soccer, everything he knew. What if she doesn't like sports? Sarah asked. Then I'll teach her other stuff. Reading, drawing, whatever she wants. Jihyun's face was serious. I'm going to be the best big brother. Like, the best ever. You already are, Sarah told him. At 20 weeks, Sarah woke in the middle of the night, gasping. Pain. Sharp, pulling pain in her abdomen. Mincy woke immediately. What's wrong? It hurts. Something's wrong. Panic flooded through her. They rushed to the hospital, Mincy driving too fast, running red lights, his face set in grim determination. The emergency room staff took one look at the feared Kang Mincy and moved at lightning speed. The doctor examined Sarah while Mincy held her hand, both of them terrified. Finally, after what felt like hours, the doctor smiled. Everything is fine. It was round ligament pain, very common in second trimester. The baby is healthy. Strong heartbeat. The relief was overwhelming. Sarah burst into tears. Mincy held her, his own body shaking. I thought we were losing her, Sarah sobbed. But we didn't. She's okay. You're okay. He pressed his forehead to hers. God, Sarah, I can't lose you. Either of you. You won't. We're fighters. All three of us. They went home as the sun rose, exhausted and grateful. Jihyun was waiting, having gotten himself ready for school despite the chaos. He looked at them anxiously. Is the baby okay? The baby's fine. False alarm. Sarah pulled him into a hug. Your sister is tough. Just like her big brother. Good. I already love her. Jihyun's voice was muffled against Sarah's shoulder. I can't lose another mom. Sarah's heart broke and healed simultaneously. You won't. I promise. At 24 weeks, Sarah had to take a semester off from medical school. The pregnancy was taking too much energy and the stress wasn't good for the baby. She hated it, felt like she was falling behind, losing her dreams again. Mincy found her crying in the nursery one afternoon. Talk to me. I'm losing everything. My education, my independence, my future. I'm becoming exactly what your mother wanted. Just a wife and mother. That's not true, isn't it? I dropped out of school. I spend my days preparing for a baby. I've become domestic. Mincy sat beside her on the nursery floor. You're taking a semester off, not dropping out. You'll go back after the baby's born. We'll hire help, whatever you need. Your dreams don't end because you're having a child. Promise? I promise. You're going to be Dr. Sarah Kong. And our daughter is going to be so proud of her mother. He pulled her close. You're not losing yourself, Sarah. You're expanding yourself. There's a difference. When did you become so wise? When I fell in love with a stubborn American woman who won't let me get away with anything. He kissed her stomach. And when I realized I'm going to be a father to a daughter who will probably be just as stubborn. Definitely just as stubborn. The weeks crawled by. Sarah's body changed, her belly growing round and heavy. She felt beautiful and awkward at the same time. Minsik thought she was glowing, told her constantly, made love to her gently, worshipfully, like she was made of glass. At 30 weeks, the clinic they'd opened together had its first anniversary. Sarah went to the celebration, her belly huge under a loose dress. The community members who'd been served by the clinic surrounded her with gratitude and blessings for the baby. An elderly Korean woman took Sarah's hand, speaking in heavily accented English. You have kind heart. Give medical care to poor people. Your baby will be blessed. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. Your husband, he good man too. He hide it, but I see. He love you very much. Sarah looked across the room where Minsik stood with Youngie, discussing clinic expansion plans. As if sensing her gaze, he looked up, his face transforming when he saw her. The Ice King melted, replaced by a man so deeply in love it showed in every line of his body. Yes, Sarah said softly. He loves me very much. At 34 weeks, Sarah went into false labor. Again, the hospital, again the panic, again the relief when everything was fine. But the doctor warned her. The baby could come anytime now. You're in the safe zone. Everything is developed. But try to rest. Stress isn't good. Rest was impossible. Minsik was in the middle of negotiations with a Chinese crime syndicate trying to move into his territory. The situation was tense, violent. He came home late every night, exhausted and covered in bruises he tried to hide. I'm handling it, he insisted when Sarah confronted him. You're going to get yourself killed right before our daughter is born. I won't. I promise. But his eyes were haunted. Sarah knew that look. Knew he was planning something dangerous. Something that might not end well. Minsik, please. Whatever you're planning, find another way. There is no other way. They're pushing too hard. If I don't respond, I look weak. If I look weak, every gang in Asia will try to take my territory. It has to be now. What has to be now? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, her huge belly making it impossible to get comfortable, anxiety eating at her. Minsik was planning something big. Something that could leave her a widow with a newborn baby. At 2 a.m., she felt it. A contraction. Real, unmistakable. Different from the false alarms. Minsik. She shook him awake. It's time. He shot up, instantly alert. Are you sure? Another contraction hit, stronger. I'm sure. Chaos erupted. Minsik calling the hospital, calling Youngie to watch Ji-hun, grabbing the hospital bag they'd packed weeks ago. They made it to the car, Minsik driving carefully this time, his hand finding Sarah's between contractions. You're doing amazing, he said. I haven't done anything yet. You're about to bring our daughter into the world. That's everything. They reached the hospital at 3 a.m. The private suite was ready, the best doctors on call. Labor was long, brutal, painful in ways Sarah hadn't imagined. Minsik stayed by her side the entire time, letting her squeeze his hand until it turned white, coaching her breathing, wiping her forehead. I can't do this, Sarah gasped at hour 12. Yes, you can. You're the strongest person I know. I'm not strong. I'm dying. You're not dying. You're bringing life. There's a difference. He kissed her forehead. Just a little more, Sarah. You can do this. At 4:47 p.m., after 14 hours of labor, their daughter entered the world screaming. Tiny, perfect, with a full head of black hair and her father's eyes. The nurse placed her on Sarah's chest and everything else disappeared. The pain, the exhaustion, the complicated circumstances of her conception. None of it mattered. Only this perfect, beautiful, miraculous human they'd created. She's here, Sarah sobbed. She's really here. Minsik stood beside the bed, tears streaming down his face, staring at his daughter like she hung the moon. She's perfect. Sarah, she's perfect. What should we name her? They discussed names for months, but never decided. Now, looking at their daughter, the answer was obvious. Hope, Minsik said softly. Her name is Hope. Because that's what she is. Proof that something beautiful can come from darkness. Hope Kong. Sarah tested the name, liking how it sounded. Hope Jae-hee Kang. Jae-hee? It means wisdom in Korean, right? I want her to have both. American hope and Korean wisdom. The best of both our worlds. Minsik kissed her, tasting her tears and his. It's perfect. You're perfect. Our family is perfect. If you're crying right now, you're not alone. Hit that subscribe button, comment if you think Hope changes everything, and smash that like button if this story has completely destroyed you in the best way. They brought Hope home 3 days later. Jaehoon waited at the door, practically bouncing with excitement. When he saw his baby sister, his eyes went wide with wonder. She's so small, he whispered, touching her tiny hand with one careful finger. Hi, Hope. I'm your big brother. I'm going to protect you forever. Sarah's heart melted watching them. This was family. Not perfect, not traditional, but real and full of love. The first weeks were brutal. Hope cried constantly, needed feeding every 2 hours, barely slept. Sarah was exhausted beyond reason. But Minsik surprised her. He changed diapers without complaint, walked the floor at 3 a.m. singing Korean lullabies, insisted Sarah rest while he handled night feedings with pumped bottles. You need sleep, he said when Sarah protested. I can function on 4 hours. You need at least 6. When did you become such a good father? When I realized I had something worth being good for. He looked down at Hope sleeping against his chest. I failed Jaehoon when he was young. I was too focused on work, on grief, on everything except being present. I won't make that mistake with her. Mrs. Kong visited when Hope was 2 weeks old. Sarah tensed, expecting criticism. Instead, her mother-in-law took the baby with practiced hands, cooing at her in Korean. She has strong lungs. That's good. She'll need them in this family. Mrs. Kong looked at Sarah. You look terrible. When did you last sleep? I don't remember. Minsik, hire a night nurse. Your wife needs rest. It was a command, not a suggestion. Mother, we're managing. You're not managing. You're drowning. Mrs. Kang's voice softened. Let me help. I raised 3 children. I know what I'm doing. So Mrs. Kang sent her personal night nurse, an older woman named Mrs. Park who took over nights with military efficiency. Sarah finally slept more than 2 hours at a stretch, waking to find Hope fed and changed, the apartment clean, Mrs. Park quietly competent. Your mother-in-law is terrifying but effective, Sarah told Minsik. That's her superpower. When Hope was 6 weeks old, Minsik's phone rang at 2 a.m. He answered, his face going hard. After a tense conversation in Korean, he hung up. What's wrong? Sarah asked, holding Hope who'd just finished feeding. The Chinese syndicate. They've made their move. Attacked 3 of my warehouses simultaneously. Killed 6 of my men. His voice was ice. This is war. Sarah's blood chilled. What are you going to do? What I always do. Fight back. Harder. He kissed Hope's forehead, then Sarah's. I'm sorry. I have to go. When will you be back? I don't know. His eyes held everything he couldn't say. Keep Jaehoon home from school. Double the security here. Don't leave the penthouse. Minsik. I love you. Both of you. All of you. He was already moving toward the door. I'll come home. I promise. But his voice lacked conviction. For 3 days, Sarah heard nothing. The penthouse became a fortress, guards at every entrance, Youngie checking in hourly with no information. Jaehoon stayed home, anxious and quiet. Hope seemed to sense the tension, crying more than usual. On the 3rd night, Sarah's phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Kong. A man's voice, speaking accented English. This is Chen Wei. I believe you know who I am. The head of the Chinese syndicate. Sarah's heart stopped. Where's my husband? Safe. For now. I have a proposition for you. I'm not interested in anything you have to say. Not even if it saves your husband's life? Chen's voice was smooth, dangerous. Here's the situation. Your husband is outnumbered, outgunned, and running out of time. His men are dying. His empire is crumbling. But I'm a reasonable man. I'll offer a trade. What kind of trade? You. For him. Sarah's blood ran cold. Excuse me. You walk away. Take your children, go back to America, never return. In exchange, your husband lives. His remaining men are spared. His territory becomes mine, but he keeps his life. Everyone wins. He'll never agree to that. He doesn't have to agree. You do. Chin paused. I've researched you, Mrs. Kong. 20 years old, medical student, forced into this marriage to save your family. You never wanted this life. I'm offering you freedom. Why would you do that? Because your husband's weakness is love. He loved his first wife, it got her killed. He loves you, it's destroying his focus. Remove you from the equation, he either dies or becomes the killer he used to be. Either way, I win. You're insane. I'm strategic. You have 24 hours to decide. Your freedom or his death. Choose wisely. He hung up. Sarah stood frozen, hope sleeping in her arms, her mind racing. Chin was right about one thing. Minseek's love for her had made him vulnerable, distracted, human. And in his world, human meant weak. But walking away? Leaving him to face this alone? Taking their daughter and running while he died? She couldn't do it. Wouldn't do it. Sarah called Youngie. I need you to get a message to Minseek. Now. What message? Tell him Chen Wei called. Tell him I'm not leaving. Tell him, her voice broke. Tell him I love him and he better win this war because I'm not raising our daughter alone. Youngie was quiet. I'll tell him. But Sarah? He's losing. The Chinese have numbers, weapons, allies. We're running out of options. Then find new options. I'm not giving up on him. She hung up, her hands shaking. Hope stirred against her chest, making small baby sounds. Sarah looked down at her daughter, this perfect, innocent child born into violence and danger. Your father is fighting for us, Sarah whispered. And I'm going to fight for him. An idea formed, desperate and dangerous. Sarah called Mrs. Kong. It's 3 a.m., her mother-in-law answered, irritated. I need your help. Minseek is losing the war with Chen Wei. I need to know who has power over Chen. Who he fears. Who can make him back down? Silence. Then, why are you calling me instead of running away like a smart woman would? Because I'm not smart. I'm in love. And I'm not letting my husband die. Sarah's voice strengthened. You wanted me to prove I belong in this family. This is me proving it. Help me save your son. Another pause. Chen Wei answers to the triad leadership in Hong Kong. Specifically, a man named Zhang Lao. He and your father-in-law have history. Old business deals, mutual respect. Can you get me a meeting with Zhang? You want to negotiate with the triad? Mrs. Kang's voice held something like respect. That's either brilliant or suicidal. Probably both. Can you do it? I can get you the meeting. What you do with it is your problem. Mrs. Kong paused. Don't get yourself killed. My granddaughter needs her mother. The meeting was arranged for the next evening. Mrs. Kang herself drove Sarah to a private restaurant in Gangnam. Hope stayed home with Mrs. Park and heavy security. Jehun wanted to come, but Sarah refused. If this goes wrong, you take care of your sister. Promise me. It won't go wrong. But Jehun's eyes were scared. Zhang Lao was in his 70s, elegant in a traditional Chinese suit. He studied Sarah as she sat across from him, Mrs. Kong beside her as translator and mediator. You're very young to be negotiating with triad leadership, Zhang said in Mandarin. Mrs. Kong translated to English. I'm young to be a lot of things. But here I am. Sarah kept her voice steady. Chen Wei is trying to take my husband's territory. He's threatening to kill him unless I leave. I'm aware of the situation. Then you know Chen is acting rashly. My husband controls major ports, has political connections, maintains order. If Chen kills him and takes over, there'll be chaos. Rival gangs will see opportunity. The police will crack down. Everyone loses. Zhang sipped his tea. Continue. But if you call Chen off, order him to negotiate peace instead of war, everyone wins. My husband keeps his territory. Chen saves face by getting concessions instead of a bloodbath. You maintain stability in Seoul's underworld. No mess, no attention, no chaos. And what do I get for this intervention? Sarah had anticipated this. Access. My husband's shipping routes for your operations. 10% below market rate for the next 5 years. And a guarantee that Seoul remains neutral territory in future triad expansions. Zhang's eyebrows rose. You offer much for someone with no authority. I speak for my husband in this matter. It was a lie, but a necessary one. And I speak for myself. I'm about to become a doctor. I can provide medical services for your people. Quietly. Efficiently. No questions asked. Mrs. Kang translated, adding her own commentary in rapid Mandarin. Jung listened, then smiled slowly. Your daughter-in-law has steel in her spine. I like that. He looked at Sarah. I'll call Chinwei off. He'll be disappointed, but he'll obey. Your husband will owe me a favor. A large one. And you'll provide those medical services when I need them. Agreed. One more thing. Jang's smile faded. If you ever betray this agreement, if your husband or his organization comes after my interests, I'll forget this conversation happened. And Chinwei will finish what he started. Clear. Crystal clear. Zhang stood, bowing slightly. You're an unusual woman, Mrs. Kong. Unusual women are dangerous. I respect that. After he left, Mrs. Kong turned to Sarah. You just made a deal with the devil. I made a deal that saves my husband's life. That's all that matters. You offered medical services. That means treating criminals, gunshot wounds, hiding evidence. I know what it means. Can you live with that? Sarah thought about Min-sik, about hope, about the family she'd built from impossible circumstances. I can live with anything except losing them. Mrs. Kang's expression softened. You really do love him. More than I thought possible. Within 3 hours, the war ended. Chinwei pulled back his forces, called for negotiation. Youngie reported that Min-sik was alive, injured but alive, coming home. Sarah waited at the penthouse, Hope sleeping in her arms. When the door finally opened and Min-sik walked in, bloodied and limping but breathing, Sarah's knees nearly gave out. You're alive. I'm alive. He crossed to her, pulling her and Hope against him. Chinwei backed off. I don't know why, but I'm not questioning it. Sarah decided not to tell him about her deal with Zhang. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Some secrets were necessary for survival. Over the next months, life found a new rhythm. Min-sik recovered from his injuries. The negotiated peace with Chinwei held, giving everyone breathing room. Sarah started back at medical school part-time, determined to finish her degree. Hope grew, becoming more alert, more present. And occasionally, Sarah got encrypted messages. A location. A time. She'd go, provide medical care to men with bullet wounds or knife injuries, asking no questions, leaving no trace. The price of peace. Min-sik never asked where she went on those nights. Maybe he knew. Maybe he didn't want to know. Either way, they had an unspoken understanding. They were both doing what was necessary to protect their family. 1 year after their wedding, they renewed their vows. This time by choice, not force. In the mountains at the Hanok, just family. Ji-hun, Hope, Youngie, Mrs. Kong, a handful of close friends. Sarah wore a simple white dress. Min-sik wore a suit. Hope gurgled happily in Ji-hun's arms. 1 year ago, I married you to save my family, Sarah said, her vows in English and Korean. Today, I marry you because you've become my family. My home. My heart. I choose you, Kong Min-sik. Every day, for the rest of our lives. Min-sik's vows were simpler. You taught me how to be human again. How to love without fear. How to hope. I promise to protect you, cherish you, and love you until my last breath. You and our children are my greatest achievement. My only legacy that matters. They kissed while their daughter clapped and Ji-hun made gagging sounds and Mrs. Kong dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief she'd never admit to needing. Later, after everyone left, after Hope was asleep and Ji-hun was in his room, Sarah and Min-sik stood on the Hanok's porch, watching stars emerge over the mountains. Do you regret it? Min-sik asked quietly. Everything that happened? How we started? Sarah considered the question honestly. The forced marriage. The fear. The violence. The impossible circumstances that had brought them together. No, she said finally. I regret that my brother's addiction put us in that situation. I regret the pain we went through. But I don't regret where we ended up. Because this, us, our family, this complicated, beautiful life, it's worth every hard moment. Even the parts where you have to provide illegal medical services to criminals to keep the peace. So he did know. Sarah looked at him. Even that. Because it keeps you alive. Keeps our family safe. I'd do anything for that. That's what worries me. You shouldn't have to compromise your morals for me. Love is compromise. You compromised your ice-cold heart for me. I compromise my idealistic morals for you. We meet in the middle and build something real. She turned to face him fully. I'm not asking for permission or forgiveness. I made my choice. I choose you. I choose us. Every time. Minsik pulled her close, his arms wrapping around her like he could shield her from the world. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you have me anyway. She smiled against his chest. We're stuck with each other, remember? Best deal I ever made. They stood there under the stars, two impossible people in an impossible love, survivors of circumstances that should have destroyed them, but somehow made them stronger. Inside, Hope started crying, her newborn wail demanding attention. Minsik pulled back. I'll get her. You rest. Sarah watched him go, this dangerous man turned devoted father, and felt overwhelming gratitude. Their story wasn't a fairy tale. It was messy and violent and complicated. But it was theirs. And that was more than enough. If Sarah and Minsik's journey from forced marriage to real love touched your heart, smash that subscribe button because we have more incredible true love stories coming your way. Drop a comment telling us what moment made you believe in their love, and hit that like button if you're a hopeless romantic like us. Share this with someone who needs to believe that love can bloom even in the darkest circumstances. Thanks for watching, family. Remember, sometimes the best love stories start in the most impossible ways. Until next time, keep believing in second chances and the power of choosing love every single day.